Imagine standing at the edge of time, where the veil between the known and the unknown is as thin as a shadow. For centuries, ancient civilizations left behind echoes of their existence, enigmatic structures, cryptic artifacts, and stories that defy all logic. But what if these mysteries aren't just relics of the past? What if they're clues, waiting to unlock secrets we're not yet ready to understand? Join us as we journey through 3 hours of the most bizarre, unsolved enigmas of human history. From lost cities to strange technologies, prepare to question everything you thought you knew about our world. The answers lie hidden in plain sight. Let's begin. Deep within the heart of Malta lies a hidden chamber, far beneath the surface, in a labyrinthine network of subterranean corridors. The Hypogeum of Halsaflieni, an ancient burial site carved into the very rock of the island, holds one of the most perplexing acoustic anomalies known to modern science: the Oracle Room. In this unassuming space, surrounded by centuries of silence, a strange phenomenon occurs. A whisper in one corner of the chamber can be heard clearly across the room, as if carried on an unseen current. The air seems to hum with a kind of reverberation, like a memory embedded in the walls themselves. Dating back to around 2500 BC, the Hypogeum is a marvel of ancient engineering. Its creators, unknown to us, etched and shaped the rock with meticulous care, crafting a site that has intrigued archaeologists, historians, and sound engineers alike. The Hypogeum is more than just a burial site. It is a reflection of a sophisticated culture that understood both the symbolic and practical use of sound in their sacred spaces. But the Oracle Room takes this understanding to another level entirely. As visitors enter the room, they often report a feeling of awe, not just due to the beauty of the space, but because of its acoustic properties. In this chamber, sound behaves in ways that seem almost deliberate, almost as if the very structure of the room was designed to amplify certain frequencies. The phenomenon was first documented in the 20th century, but its origins remain a subject of heated debate. Why would an ancient society, whose technological advancements are considered rudimentary by today's standards, create such an acoustically extraordinary chamber? The room itself is not large. Its circular walls are punctuated with niches, as if designed to house offerings or perhaps the remains of important figures. In the center, the floor is slightly raised, and the chamber slopes ever so gently, directing sound towards specific points. When someone speaks softly at one end, the voice seems to travel effortlessly to the other side. The sound appears to come from nowhere, resonating as if the room is alive with an energy we have yet to understand. This effect, known as acoustic focusing, has been observed in only a handful of places around the world, yet no one has fully explained why the room was constructed in such a way. Some scholars speculate that the room was intentionally designed for ritualistic purposes, perhaps to enhance the spiritual or trance-like states of those who visited. The acoustics could have allowed the priest or oracle to speak, their voice carried with unnatural clarity to those gathered in the space, lending an air of divine authority to their words. Could the room have been used in some form of ancient ceremony, perhaps to communicate with gods or spirits, with the reverberation serving as an audible manifestation of the divine? Others suggest that the room might have served a more practical purpose, as a tool for communication. The people of Malta during the late Neolithic era lived in a complex society, and the ability to communicate over large distances or within cavernous spaces could have been a crucial factor in coordinating activities or rituals. Yet, this theory does little to explain why the effect is so specific, why it seems to occur only in the exact space known as the Oracle Room and nowhere else in the Hypogeum. Perhaps most intriguing are the fringe theories, which propose that the room's acoustics may not have been entirely intentional at all. Some suggest that the ancient builders possessed a form of knowledge long lost to us, perhaps in acoustics or sound manipulation, which may have played a role in the creation of this mysterious space. Could they have known how to harness sound in ways we've only just begun to understand? Or could the room have been built with a different, unknown purpose entirely, one that hasn't yet been uncovered by modern science? What seems clear is that, despite decades of study, the oracle room of the Hypogeum continues to resist full explanation. Its enigmatic acoustics raise more questions than they answer. Was this a deliberate, sophisticated engineering feat, or a happy accident, a quirk of nature that the ancients unwittingly took advantage of? Did the builders intend to amplify the voice of the priest, or did they tap into something far deeper, something that connects the human soul with the earth itself? As the mystery lingers, one thing remains certain. The room still holds its secrets, its acoustic anomaly, a reminder that even in our age of technology, there are places where the past still speaks to us, though we may not yet know how to listen. And as the stone walls of the Hypogeum stand silently, we are left to wonder, what other forgotten knowledge might still be waiting, hidden in plain sight, for those who are willing to hear? As we leave the depths of the Hypogeum and emerge back into the sunlight, we find ourselves drawn to another corner of the world, an ancient place that has long baffled archaeologists and historians alike: the star cliffs of Nyero in Uganda. Here, at the edge of the Karamojong Plateau, a series of rock shelters stands in silent testament to the creativity and mystery of an ancient people. The cliffs are adorned with a series of unfinished paintings, their forms sprawling across the stone in a celestial pattern, as if tracing the movements of the stars themselves. These paintings are unlike any other found in Africa, or anywhere else for that matter. Some are simple, geometric designs, circles, squares, and triangles, while others depict figures that seem to hover between abstraction and representation, blending human and animal shapes in a way that suggests a deep, symbolic language. The most striking feature, however, is the curious way these artworks seem to be unfinished. The brushstrokes end abruptly, the lines suspended in midair, as though the artist was interrupted or the process was halted for some reason. The Nyero rock paintings are believed to have been created by the early people of Uganda, sometime between 1000 BC and 300 AD. These ancient artists, who inhabited the region for thousands of years, left behind a stunning legacy that offers glimpses into their world. Yet, even with this historical framework, the true purpose and meaning of the star cliffs remain elusive. Why are the paintings incomplete? What do the symbols truly represent? And what do these enigmatic depictions tell us about the people who made them? Some scholars have proposed that these paintings might be connected to the spiritual or religious beliefs of the ancient people. The geometric shapes, in particular, seem to be aligned with natural forces, sun, moon, and stars, and might have been used to track the heavens or mark sacred sites. Indeed, the very location of the paintings, a high plateau overlooking vast expanses of land, suggests that the artists may have been attuned to the rhythms of the cosmos, choosing this vantage point to create works that aligned with celestial events or seasonal cycles. The fact that the paintings are unfinished, many speculating, could indicate that they were part of an ongoing ritual, a work that was meant to evolve over time or remain in a constant state of flux. The most puzzling aspect of the star cliffs, however, is not just the incomplete nature of the paintings, but the startling complexity of the figures themselves. Among the symbols are representations of human figures with heads that blend into star-like shapes, their limbs stretched out in ways that evoke both human and animal characteristics. The stark and almost alien quality of these depictions has led some to wonder whether these images might reflect a belief in some form of cosmological connection between humans, animals, and the heavens. Could the artists have believed that they were not just recording the stars, but engaging in a form of communication with celestial beings, their unfinished work a record of their ongoing connection to the divine? There are more speculative theories, of course, that stretch even further beyond the bounds of traditional archaeology. Some fringe theorists suggest that the star cliffs might be evidence of an advanced knowledge of astronomy that was far ahead of its time. Could the incomplete paintings have been part of a larger cosmological map, perhaps one that was lost to history, or even interrupted by outside forces? The depiction of what appear to be stars or constellations in the paintings raises the question: did these ancient peoples possess an understanding of the night sky on a level that was not just symbolic, but based on intricate observation and mathematical precision? Others have suggested that these symbols might hold hidden messages, encoded with information about the movements of the stars, or perhaps the location of unknown resources buried beneath the ground. Could these rock paintings be part of a larger system of knowledge, passed down through generations as a map to some hidden treasure or lost civilization? The unfinished nature of the work could then be seen not as a sign of incompleteness, but as a clue to something far more elusive, an ongoing process, like a puzzle that has yet to be solved. There are even some who speculate that the star cliffs could be related to ancient cultures from far beyond the region. Could there have been contact with distant civilizations, perhaps those with a more advanced understanding of astronomy or architecture? The idea that the artists of Nyero might have been influenced by, or even in communication with, other ancient cultures, such as those in the Nile Valley or the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia, remains a tantalizing possibility. After all, the movement of the stars was a universal concern, one that united disparate cultures across the ancient world. While such ideas remain speculative, there is no denying the profound mystery that the star cliffs present. The paintings, etched into the rock, are a link to a forgotten past, an enigma that has withstood the passage of centuries, yet continues to speak to us in whispers. They tell the story of a people who lived in tune with their environment, their stars, and their gods. But they also leave us with more questions than answers. Why did the artists stop before completing their work? Was it a deliberate act, or the result of something more mundane, a disruption, an outside force, or simply the passage of time? The star cliffs of Nyero invite us to look beyond the surface and consider the possibility that we have yet to fully understand the ways in which ancient peoples engaged with the world around them. As we ponder their unfinished paintings, we are reminded that some mysteries are not meant to be solved quickly. Instead, they linger, quietly awaiting the moment when we might finally begin to hear the full story they have to tell. And as the sun sets over the cliffs, casting long shadows over the rock face, we are left with the haunting thought: what else lies hidden in the unfinished, waiting to be uncovered? What other fragments of ancient knowledge, lost in the sands of time, are waiting for us to piece them together? Leaving behind the unfinished artistry of the star cliffs, we now turn our attention to a curious object housed within the sands of ancient Egypt, a small, unassuming relic that has captured the imagination of scholars and engineers alike for decades: the Saqqara bird. Discovered in 1898, this artifact, roughly the size of a modern-day paper airplane, has sparked a debate that continues to this day. Is it simply a symbolic object, crafted for ceremonial purposes, or does it represent something far more advanced, a glimpse into ancient knowledge that we have yet to fully comprehend? The Saqqara bird is a wooden sculpture, about 7.5 inches long, with a shape that immediately evokes images of flight. Its body tapers in a way that mimics the sleek form of an aircraft, its wings delicately curved, and its tail extending in a manner that resembles the stabilizers of a modern airplane. At first glance, it might seem like a child's toy, or a piece of religious iconography, a representation of a bird, perhaps to honor the gods of the sky. However, closer examination reveals something altogether stranger. The artifact was found in the Saqqara necropolis, one of the oldest burial grounds in Egypt, dating back to the 3rd dynasty, around 2600 BC. It was discovered in the tomb of a nobleman named Huni, and its significance was not immediately understood. But as the object was analyzed in more detail, it became clear that it had an aerodynamic form, an aspect that stood out against the more traditional representations of birds in ancient Egyptian art. What makes the Saqqara bird so captivating is its apparent aerodynamic efficiency. The structure of its wings, along with the subtle curvature of its body, suggests that the ancient Egyptians had an understanding of flight principles far ahead of their time. This is where the debate begins. Mainstream scholars typically explain the bird as a symbolic object, perhaps a toy or a ceremonial item meant to represent the soul's journey to the afterlife, with flight serving as a metaphor for transcendence. Egyptologists have noted that birds in ancient Egypt were often associated with divine figures, particularly the god Horus, whose emblematic form was that of a falcon. Therefore, the Saqqara bird could have been a religious object, an artistic representation, or even a simple toy for a royal child, nothing more than a symbol of divine power and transformation. Yet, there are others who see the Saqqara bird through a different lens, one that suggests a deeper, more intriguing mystery. Some researchers have pointed out that the shape of the bird seems to reflect principles of flight that wouldn't be fully understood until the modern era. In particular, the bird's wings are angled in a way that suggests an understanding of aerodynamics, a concept that would not be rediscovered until the 19th and 20th centuries, when pioneers like the Wright brothers and Leonardo da Vinci began to study the mechanics of flight. Could the Saqqara bird be more than just a ceremonial object? Some theorists argue that it may be a model or prototype of an ancient flying machine, a sort of primitive glider. The suggestion that ancient Egyptians might have possessed knowledge of flight is, of course, a controversial one. Most archaeologists dismiss this idea as speculative at best, arguing that there is no evidence to support the notion that the Egyptians ever achieved flight, or even attempted to. Nevertheless, the idea persists, fueled by the peculiarities of the Saqqara bird's design. The bird's tail, in particular, is worth noting. It is not merely decorative, but has a pronounced angle that some have likened to the tailplane of modern aircraft. The shape of the tail could conceivably provide aerodynamic stability, much like the stabilizers found on contemporary airplanes. Could this be evidence of an ancient attempt to understand the forces of flight? Perhaps even more puzzling is the material the bird is made from. The wood, carefully selected and shaped, suggests that its creators paid close attention to the practical aspects of construction. If this were simply a symbolic object, why go to such lengths to create an item with such a refined, aerodynamically sound form? Some fringe theorists have taken this further, speculating that the Saqqara bird was not merely a model, but a functional artifact, perhaps even an attempt at flight itself. Could it have been part of an ancient aviation experiment? Could the Egyptians have once attempted to build a glider, or another form of flying machine, lost to time and later misinterpreted by their descendants? Theories like these evoke a vision of a civilization far more advanced than we traditionally believe ancient Egypt to have been. Yet, there are other explanations that remain grounded in more conventional thought. Some researchers argue that the bird's peculiar shape could simply be the result of the materials and tools available to the ancient Egyptians at the time. The aerodynamic qualities that some interpret as evidence of flight may, in fact, be nothing more than a coincidence, an artifact shaped by necessity or even by random chance, rather than by any deliberate attempt to understand or master the forces of flight. Adding to the mystery is the fact that the Saqqara bird was not the only object of its kind to be found. Similar artifacts have been discovered in other parts of Egypt, though none with the same level of detail or aerodynamic refinement. Still, this raises an important question. Is the Saqqara bird part of a larger tradition, one that spanned the ancient world involving a deep, forgotten understanding of the forces of nature. In the end, we are left with more questions than answers. Could the Saqqara bird be evidence of an ancient form of flight, or is it simply a symbol, like so many other objects in ancient Egypt, meant to convey a deeper spiritual or philosophical message? Was it created with a functional purpose in mind, or was its shape purely artistic? Did the ancient Egyptians understand the principles of flight, or was this just an accidental design feature? As we stand before the Saqqara bird, it remains clear that its true purpose is still out of reach. The artifact continues to hold its secrets, inviting us to reconsider what we know about ancient technology and human achievement. As we look to the skies, we are left to wonder, might there have been other, forgotten civilizations, cultures whose knowledge of the world was far more sophisticated than we have imagined, whose secrets remain hidden, waiting to be rediscovered? As we leave behind the possibility of ancient flight in Egypt, we now turn our gaze to a remote corner of South Africa, where, buried deep within the earth, another strange mystery awaits. In the heart of the Klerksdorp region, amid the ancient rocks of the Bushveld complex, curious objects have been uncovered that have confounded experts for decades. The Klerksdorp spheres. These objects, some no larger than a marble and others as large as a golf ball, are spherical in shape, but their mystery runs deeper than just their form. The spheres, discovered in the 3-billion-year-old strata of the area, appear to be too perfectly rounded to be natural. What's more, many of them exhibit faint grooves or ridges etched into their surface, giving them a distinctly industrial look. Some even suggest that these grooves resemble the patterns seen in machine parts or components, patterns that would be remarkably advanced for anything existing in the world billions of years ago. To the untrained eye, the Klerksdorp spheres might seem like little more than another geological oddity, a natural formation that simply happens to be a bit too perfect for comfort. But as researchers have examined them, a deeper, more unsettling question emerges. How could these spherical objects, some of which have been found with sharp, almost deliberate geometric patterns on their surface, have formed so long ago, if not by some process we don't yet understand? The discovery of the spheres in the 1980s drew immediate attention from both the scientific community and those with an eye for more speculative explanations. Geologists and mineralogists typically consider the spheres to be naturally occurring pyrite concretions, an explanation that certainly fits with the scientific understanding of how mineral formations can occur. Over time, pyrite, a common iron sulfide, can form rounded shapes as it crystallizes within the rock. But the apparent artificiality of the Klerksdorp spheres has led others to challenge this theory. What's most perplexing is that some of the spheres, particularly those with noticeable grooves, do not fit the typical pyrite formation process. The grooves, some of which resemble tool marks, suggest a deliberate shaping of the spheres, or at least some level of interaction with a force far beyond the random, haphazard growth of minerals. In one of the most cited cases, a sphere was found with a perfect, smooth indentation, almost as if a tool had been used to carve it into place. Could these marks indicate that the spheres were not naturally formed at all, but instead were crafted by an unknown civilization? This brings us to one of the more speculative aspects of the Klerksdorp spheres, the possibility that they are remnants of an advanced, long-lost civilization. Some have suggested that the spheres might be the work of an ancient culture with knowledge of engineering or even technology that was not only sophisticated, but perhaps millennia ahead of its time. Could this be evidence of an industrial revolution that took place not in the distant past, but in a time so far removed from us that it was all but erased from history? Further fueling the mystery is the claim that some of the spheres have been found with faint traces of metals embedded in them. Could these traces suggest a connection to metallurgy or advanced material processing techniques? Was there an unknown culture that was capable of manipulating materials in ways that we have not yet understood? their knowledge and tools lost to time? The potential implications of this theory are staggering. Could the Klerksdorp spheres be artifacts left behind by an ancient race, their technology so advanced that it has left no other trace? Yet, despite these intriguing possibilities, there are those who remain skeptical of these more extraordinary claims. Most geologists and mineralogists insist that the spheres are natural, the result of geological processes that we are still working to fully understand. The grooves, they argue, could simply be the result of natural erosion or crystallization patterns that have been misinterpreted as artificial marks. After all, nature has a long history of creating shapes and patterns that, at first glance, seem too perfect to be natural. The idea that the spheres are simply the product of geological forces at work is certainly plausible, and perhaps even the most logical explanation given the context in which they were found. But the more we examine the Klerksdorp spheres, the harder it becomes to dismiss the questions they raise. If they are indeed natural, then why do some of them display such an apparent precision in their grooves and markings? Why do they appear to be so uniform in shape, unlike most other geological formations we encounter? Could it simply be a coincidence? Or is there something more at play, some aspect of nature that we have yet to understand? There is also the curious fact that the Klerksdorp spheres have not been found in isolation. The site where they were discovered is part of a rich geological region, and other oddities have been uncovered nearby. Some have suggested that this area was once home to an ancient civilization, or perhaps a much older culture, that left behind evidence of their advanced knowledge in the form of the spheres. These theories inevitably draw us into the realm of fringe speculation, where ideas about lost civilizations and ancient technology mix with more fantastical notions. Could it be possible that we are missing something crucial about the development of human civilization, or even life on Earth itself? What if these spheres are just one piece of a much larger puzzle, one that could reshape our understanding of history and human progress? As we stand before these small, unassuming objects, we are reminded that sometimes the most enigmatic mysteries lie in the smallest details. The Klerksdorp spheres, with their smooth, almost unnervingly perfect shape, invite us to look closer, to question the assumptions we hold about the past and the forces that shaped it. Are these merely curiosities of nature, or are they clues to a much older, far more advanced history than we have yet imagined? And so, as the debate rages on, we are left to wonder, what do these spheres truly represent? What secrets lie embedded within their perfectly rounded form, waiting to be uncovered? After journeying through the mineral mysteries of the Klerksdorp spheres, we now turn our attention to a striking set of images that span millennia and echo across the hills of central India, the Kaimur rock paintings. These ancient murals, scattered across the vast, undulating landscapes of Madhya Pradesh and Bihar, are not merely art. They are a testament to a deep and cryptic connection between the human and the celestial, a relationship that seems to transcend time and place. The Kaimur rock paintings, estimated to be anywhere between 10,000 and 12,000 years old, are spread across the rugged cliffs of the Kaimur hills. The paintings themselves are remarkably vivid, the colors of ochre, red, and black still faintly visible despite centuries of exposure to the elements. Some depict animals, warriors, and everyday life in what is believed to be a society deeply intertwined with nature. But what sets these paintings apart, what draws attention and leaves many questions unanswered, are the recurring motifs of human-like figures with intricate headgear and elongated limbs, figures that seem more at home in the realm of the sky than on Earth. These motifs have come to be known as the sky beings, and their presence in the Kaimur paintings has prompted a host of theories. The most striking feature of these figures is the unmistakable sense that they are not of this world. Their proportions are exaggerated, often with arms and legs unnaturally elongated, their heads adorned with headdresses or helmets that resemble those found in depictions of gods and rulers from later, known civilizations. The figures are often shown in dynamic poses, as though they are either descending from the heavens or ascending to the sky. Their postures and the attention to their otherworldly appearance raise the unsettling question: are these depictions of deities or extraterrestrial visitors, or is there something more grounded at play? Mainstream archaeologists have suggested that these images may represent early forms of shamanistic or spiritual beliefs. The figures might be ritualistic depictions of gods or mythical creatures believed to come from the sky, an interpretation that fits within the religious and spiritual frameworks of ancient civilizations. After all, many cultures, from the ancient Egyptians to the Sumerians, have depicted gods or beings from the heavens in their art, suggesting that the sky has always been a powerful symbol of divine power. The Kaimur rock paintings could, in this view, reflect the society's reverence for celestial forces, with the sky beings serving as intermediaries between the earthly and the divine. Yet, even within the accepted view of these figures as deities or spirits, there are still questions that remain. Why are they depicted in such an unusual and consistent way? Why the exaggerated features, the helmets, and the strange, almost robotic postures? Could these artistic conventions point to a belief system far more complex than we might imagine? There are those who go even further, suggesting that the Kaimur sky beings could be representations of something far more unconventional: extraterrestrial visitors. This theory, though controversial, finds resonance with those who look at the striking similarity between the Kaimur figures and the modern depictions of alien beings, particularly the Greys, with their large heads, almond-shaped eyes, and slender limbs. Some have even pointed to the apparent space helmets on the heads of the Kaimur figures as evidence that the artists were attempting to represent beings from another world, beings who descended from the stars long before our recorded history. Could these images be an ancient record of extraterrestrial encounters? The suggestion that ancient peoples may have had contact with beings from other planets is, of course, a theory that is difficult to prove. No physical evidence supports this idea, and mainstream archaeologists remain skeptical. Yet, the persistent, striking resemblance between the Kaimur figures and modern concepts of extraterrestrial life continues to fuel speculation. It raises a broader, more intriguing question. What if ancient societies were aware of something beyond their world, whether through metaphorical or actual means, and sought to document that knowledge through these mysterious depictions? Another line of speculation suggests that the Kaimur paintings may be connected to ancient astronomy. The alignment of the figures, their gestures, and the overall layout of the paintings seem to suggest a relationship with the stars, or perhaps with celestial events like the movement of the planets or the cycles of the moon. Some have proposed that the elongated limbs of the sky beings represent the trajectory of the stars or the path of comets, and that the figures were drawn as representations of these celestial phenomena. If this theory holds any weight, it would indicate that these early artists had a profound understanding of the night sky, possibly even more so than we have traditionally credited ancient civilizations with. While these theories remain speculative, the Kaimur rock paintings challenge our conventional understanding of prehistoric art. The exact meaning of the sky beings remains elusive, their forms too strange and their symbolism too complex to be fully explained by any single theory. Are they divine figures, celestial observers, or extraterrestrial visitors? Or do they represent something else entirely? Perhaps a connection between the earthly and the cosmic that is beyond our current understanding? As we stand before these ancient images, we are reminded that there are still vast areas of human history that remain uncharted and unexplored. The Kaimur rock paintings, with their enigmatic sky beings, offer a glimpse into a worldview that seems both timeless and boundless. The artists who created these figures were attempting to document something far beyond their immediate surroundings, perhaps trying to capture the vastness of the heavens or the mysteries of the universe. In the end, the Kaimur paintings leave us with more questions than answers. They beckon us to look beyond the surface, to contemplate the possibility that there are threads of knowledge and wisdom woven into ancient cultures that we are only beginning to unravel. Could the sky beings be ancient records of an understanding of the cosmos? Or are they a memory of a time when the sky was seen as a realm of both mystery and divine power? Whatever the truth may be, the Kaimur rock paintings continue to stand as an unanswered riddle, one that calls us to explore the hidden corners of our past and wonder what other secrets might be waiting to be uncovered. After our journey through the enigmatic paintings of the Kaimur Hills, we now find ourselves stepping back in time to the ancient lands of Europe, specifically to a small village in the heart of Romania. There, beneath the earth, buried for millennia, lie 3 small inscribed tablets that have been the subject of heated debate for decades: the Tărtăria tablets. These fragile relics, discovered in 1961, are believed to be among the earliest forms of written communication, if, that is, they are indeed writing at all. Their age, their symbols, and the mystery surrounding their meaning continue to intrigue scholars, challenging our understanding of the origins of written language and civilization itself. The Tărtăria tablets are made from clay, each measuring only a few inches in length, but what makes them remarkable is not their size, but the series of symbols etched into their surfaces. These markings are unlike any that have been definitively associated with any known script of the ancient world. The symbols appear on all 3 tablets in various combinations, seemingly following a coherent pattern, though what that pattern means remains unclear. When they were first discovered in the early 1960s, the tablets immediately attracted the attention of archaeologists and linguists. The site where they were found, a Neolithic settlement known as Tărtăria, was already rich with artifacts from an ancient culture that existed around 5300 BC, an early period of human history, far earlier than the Sumerian civilization, which is traditionally credited with developing the first writing system in the Near East. This time gap between the Tărtăria tablets and Sumerian writing, however, is where the controversy begins. Some scholars have proposed that the tablets might represent an early form of writing, one that predates Sumerian cuneiform by over a millennium. The idea that the Tărtăria tablets might contain a pre-Sumerian script, possibly even the world's oldest known written language, would dramatically rewrite the history of writing and challenge our understanding of ancient cultures. But there are significant challenges to this interpretation, and the debate remains unresolved. The inscriptions on the Tărtăria tablets are composed of abstract signs, marks that do not resemble anything in the known Sumerian or Egyptian scripts, yet seem to follow certain patterns of structure and repetition. Some of the symbols appear to be consistent across the tablets, while others are more varied. At first glance, they do not seem to convey the same kind of systematic grammar and syntax that we associate with established written languages. This has led many to speculate that the symbols might represent an early form of pictography, or even a symbolic language used in ritual or religious contexts. The mainstream view, however, is that the Tărtăria symbols are not a form of writing at all. Critics argue that the inscriptions may simply be decorative, perhaps ritualistic or symbolic representations used in the context of religious practices or shamanistic rites. They point out that many cultures have used abstract symbols and marks for ceremonial purposes long before the advent of writing. In this view, the tablets are not records of a written language, but artifacts that reflect the spiritual or cultural practices of an early Neolithic society. Yet, this explanation does not satisfy everyone. There are those who argue that the sophistication of the symbols on the Tărtăria tablets cannot be dismissed as mere decoration. The distinct nature of the marks, along with their apparent consistency, suggests that they may have been intended to communicate specific ideas or concepts, an early form of writing, perhaps used to document rituals, trade, or even early forms of governance. Some have gone so far as to suggest that these symbols represent an ancient Proto-Sumerian script, a precursor to the writing system developed by the Sumerians in Mesopotamia. But the most intriguing question surrounding the Tărtăria tablets is not just whether they represent writing, but what their discovery means for our understanding of the development of human civilization. If these tablets truly predate Sumerian writing, then what does that say about the development of literacy in ancient societies? Could it be that early humans were capable of creating complex systems of communication long before we have traditionally believed? And if so, what other lost forms of communication might be buried, waiting to be discovered? Some have proposed that the Tărtăria tablets could be evidence of a lost civilization, an advanced society that existed long before the rise of Sumer, one that developed its own system of writing, its own architecture, and its own culture. This theory suggests that the culture of Tărtăria was part of a broader, forgotten world, one that left behind only scattered clues, like the tablets, for us to find. Could the Tărtăria people have influenced the later civilizations of Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley? Or were they completely independent, their innovations lost to time and erased by later waves of human history? There is also the possibility that the tablets represent a unique form of symbolic communication, one that transcends the typical linearity of written language. The Tărtăria symbols, with their abstract forms and mysterious patterns, might have been used not for literal communication, but for purposes beyond the ordinary, to encode secret knowledge, convey spiritual messages, or mark significant events. Could the tablets have been used in religious or mystical contexts, where their meaning was understood only by a select few? Some have even suggested that the symbols might represent a form of proto-scientific notation, a way to record astronomical observations or other natural phenomena, though this is purely speculative. As we reflect on the mystery of the Tărtăria tablets, it is clear that they challenge our understanding of early human civilization in ways we are still struggling to comprehend. Are they truly a form of writing, a precursor to the great scripts of the ancient world? Or are they something entirely different, symbols of a lost belief system, or markers of a forgotten culture? The questions surrounding these tablets remain open, and the debate continues to evolve. What is certain is that the Tărtăria tablets represent a tantalizing puzzle, one that invites us to reconsider the origins of writing and human communication. As we uncover more clues about the ancient past, we may find that the story of human civilization is far more complex and mysterious than we have ever imagined. Could these small inscribed tablets be evidence of a deeper, more sophisticated knowledge, lost to time, waiting to be rediscovered? Or are they simply the remnants of a long-forgotten culture, their meanings forever out of reach? The answers may be buried, but the mystery remains, urging us to keep searching for the truth hidden within the symbols of the past. After exploring the mysterious Tărtăria tablets and their possible implications for the history of written language, we now find ourselves in the heart of the Sahara, on the Djado Plateau, in the northern reaches of Niger. Here, in this harsh and unforgiving landscape, lies a riddle that has eluded scholars and explorers for centuries: the vanishing settlements of the Djado Plateau. The Djado Plateau is a vast, rocky expanse, stretching across the desert in a region once believed to be the home of a complex and thriving civilization. Hidden amongst its towering cliffs and rocky outcrops are the remnants of ancient stone structures, walls, buildings, and what appear to be entire settlements. The harsh environment has preserved these ruins in a remarkable way, and they stand today as silent witnesses to a lost history. But what is most perplexing about the Djado Plateau is not just the existence of these structures, but their sudden and mysterious abandonment. The settlements on the Djado Plateau were first discovered in the mid-20th century, and the initial reactions from scholars were ones of excitement. Here were ancient ruins in the middle of a desert, at a time when the Sahara was far more habitable than it is today. Radiocarbon dating has suggested that some of the stone structures date back as far as 1000 BC, while others seem to belong to a later period, perhaps as recent as the 4th century AD. This span of time hints at the presence of a long-standing civilization, one that adapted to the harsh conditions of the desert and built impressive stone structures that could withstand the test of time. But there is a mystery that lurks at the heart of the Djado Plateau's settlements. The people who built these structures seem to have vanished abruptly, with no clear explanation. There is no evidence of violent destruction or any signs of warfare. No evidence, at least, of any catastrophic event that would explain the disappearance of the people who once lived there. What's even more puzzling is that, in spite of their relatively recent existence, no historical records or oral traditions remain to explain the origins of these settlements, nor their ultimate abandonment. One of the most intriguing aspects of these vanishing settlements is the advanced nature of the structures themselves. Many of the buildings are made of stone, carefully constructed and aligned with precision. Some of the walls are adorned with intricate carvings depicting animals and geometric patterns that suggest a deep understanding of symbolism. The settlements appear to have been organized in a way that suggests they were designed to be permanent, built to last through the centuries. But why, then, would a civilization that was capable of creating such enduring structures simply disappear without a trace? Mainstream explanations often point to environmental factors as the likely cause for the collapse of the Djado settlements. The Sahara, once a fertile region with rivers and lakes, began to dry up around 5000 BC, transforming into the desert we know today. It is entirely possible that the people who lived on the Djado Plateau were forced to abandon their homes due to changing climatic conditions, perhaps a series of droughts or the gradual desertification of the land. Indeed, there is evidence that many ancient cultures in the Sahara region were forced to migrate as the climate shifted and the once rich land became inhospitable. The Djado people, too, may have been victims of these natural forces, fleeing their settlements in search of more viable land. But this explanation, while plausible, leaves many questions unanswered. For one, why did the settlements appear to be abandoned so abruptly? The stone structures and carvings suggest a well-established community, one with a sophisticated understanding of architecture and artistry. If these people were simply forced to leave due to environmental changes, why is there no evidence of gradual decline, no signs of people gradually abandoning the area as the land became less hospitable? The suddenness of the abandonment has led some researchers to propose that there may have been a more immediate catalyst, a sudden event that caused the people of the Djado Plateau to flee, leaving everything behind. In addition to environmental theories, there are also more speculative ideas about the cause of the settlement's disappearance. Some fringe theories suggest that the Djado Plateau was home to an advanced civilization, one that had knowledge and technologies lost to time. Could these ancient people have built settlements with a level of sophistication far beyond what we have traditionally attributed to ancient African cultures? The mysterious disappearances of the Djado settlements might then be explained not by environmental factors, but by the collapse of a once flourishing civilization, perhaps due to a loss of knowledge or an unforeseen disaster. Others have suggested that the settlements could be the remnants of an even earlier, forgotten civilization, one that predated the known cultures of North Africa, such as the ancient Egyptians or the Carthaginians. Could the Djado Plateau have once been the home of a complex, advanced culture that has since been erased from history? If so, where did these people go, and what knowledge did they possess that could have been lost forever? The lack of records and the absence of written language make it difficult to answer these questions, and it is possible that the true nature of the Djado settlements will never be fully understood. Adding to the mystery is the fact that, despite the arid conditions of the region today, there are indications that the Djado Plateau was once a far more hospitable place. In the past, the area may have been more temperate, with sources of water that could have supported a larger population. Evidence of ancient lakes and riverbeds suggests that the land could have been far more fertile in the distant past. Could the people who built these settlements have been living in a much different environment than the one we see today? And if so, what caused such a dramatic shift in the region's climate? While the mainstream explanation points to environmental factors as the primary cause of the settlement's abandonment, there are still many unanswered questions. Why, for example, did the people who lived on the Djado Plateau leave so suddenly? Why did they abandon structures that appeared to be designed for permanence and long-term habitation? And most intriguingly, why has no trace of their disappearance, no record, no oral tradition, survived? As we stand on the Djado Plateau today, surrounded by the eerie silence of the desert, we are left with more questions than answers. The vanishing settlements of the Djado Plateau stand as a stark reminder of how much of our past remains hidden beneath the surface, obscured by time and the forces of nature. What happened to the people who lived here? Did they simply fade away, like so many other ancient cultures, or is there something more to their story, something still waiting to be uncovered? The answers may be buried beneath the shifting sands, waiting for a future generation to unearth them, or they may be lost forever, leaving us with only the ruins and the mystery that surrounds them. From the sun-bleached desert sands of the Djado Plateau, we now journey to the lush foothills of Mount Lebanon, where another mystery from the ancient world beckons. Here, among the ruins of Baalbek, an ancient city that has stood for millennia, we encounter one of the most perplexing archaeological enigmas known to humankind, the Trilithon of Baalbek. These colossal stones, each weighing hundreds of tons, form part of a temple complex that dates back to Roman times. But it is not the Roman construction that raises questions. It is the mysterious transportation marks found on the stones that continue to baffle archaeologists and historians alike. The Baalbek Trilithon consists of 3 immense stone blocks, each measuring approximately 20 feet in length and weighing an estimated 800 to 1,000 tons. These massive blocks were carefully cut and placed in the foundations of the Temple of Jupiter, one of the largest and most magnificent temples ever constructed in the ancient world. The sheer scale of the stones is enough to leave anyone in awe, but it is not just their size that captivates us. It is the way in which they were moved into place. What makes the Trilithon so mysterious is the absence of clear evidence of how these enormous stones were transported and placed. Even today, with modern machinery, it would be a significant challenge to move such massive blocks of stone over the distances required. Yet, these megalithic stones were moved with remarkable precision, and their placement in the Baalbek complex, amongst other similar structures, poses a question that has yet to be fully answered. How did ancient people accomplish this monumental feat? Upon closer inspection of the Trilithon blocks, another peculiar feature becomes apparent: the strange, intricate marks that adorn their surfaces. These marks, often described as cutting or transportation marks, appear to be grooves, ridges, and smooth indentations, patterns that are not commonly found in other ancient stonework. Some of the marks are deep and parallel, as though they were carved or gouged into the stone with some sort of tool. Other marks appear to be the result of friction or pressure, perhaps suggesting that the stones were dragged or pushed along rough terrain, using an unknown method or technology. Mainstream scholars generally agree that the stones of Baalbek were transported using a combination of primitive tools, sledges, and manpower. They point to evidence of ramps and other rudimentary mechanisms that could have been used to move the stones. This would have required vast labor forces and a great deal of time. resources that would have been available in the thriving Roman Empire, which constructed the Baalbek temple during the 1st and 2nd centuries AD. However, these explanations leave us with a fundamental question. If such simple methods were used, why do the marks on the stones seem so much more complex, as though they were made by a different technique altogether? The size and complexity of the stones also challenge the conventional understanding of the technology available to the Romans. While the Romans were master engineers, the sheer scale of the Trilithon stones would have been a formidable task even for them. How could a civilization, even one as advanced as Rome, manage to move and carve stones that weighed as much as 1,000 tons? The Romans were certainly capable of impressive feats of engineering, but moving stones of this size, especially over such distances, would have required tools and methods far beyond what we traditionally attribute to ancient technologies. Could it be that they had access to knowledge or techniques that we have yet to rediscover? Or was there an entirely different explanation for how these massive blocks were transported and placed? In the absence of clear answers, alternative theories have emerged, suggesting that the Baalbek Trilithon may be evidence of an even older civilization, one that predated the Romans by thousands of years and possessed advanced technologies that have been lost to time. This theory suggests that the ruins of Baalbek were built upon the foundations of a much earlier culture, one that had already mastered techniques for moving and shaping massive stones long before the Romans arrived. Perhaps the construction of the Trilithon was part of a much older, forgotten civilization, an advanced society with knowledge of engineering, tools, and machinery that has been erased from history. This theory is not without its critics. Many scholars dismiss it as speculative and argue that the Roman Empire, with its vast resources and engineering prowess, is entirely capable of having constructed the Trilithon. After all, the Romans built other colossal structures, such as the Colosseum and the Pantheon, using similar methods. Yet the presence of these peculiar marks on the stones remains a point of contention. If the Romans truly built the Trilithon, why do the marks appear to be unlike anything seen in other Roman constructions? Another fascinating theory suggests that the transportation marks may not be evidence of a forgotten civilization at all, but rather the result of some form of lost or unknown technology. Some researchers have proposed that the ancients may have used sound, vibration, or other forms of energy to move the stones. The idea that sound waves or resonance could have been used to levitate or transport massive objects is a concept that has appeared in fringe theories for years, though there is little scientific evidence to support this claim. Still, it remains an intriguing possibility. Could the ancients have discovered ways to manipulate natural forces in ways that modern science is only now beginning to understand? Adding to the mystery is the fact that the Trilithon is not the only example of massive stone blocks found at Baalbek. The site is home to numerous other megalithic structures, many of which contain similarly large stones. One of the most famous examples is the so-called Stone of the Pregnant Woman, a single block of stone weighing an astonishing 1,200 tons, far larger than any of the Trilithon blocks. If the ancient builders of Baalbek could move stones of such tremendous size and weight, what other capabilities might they have possessed? And why have we, for so long, struggled to replicate their feats? As we stand before the Trilithon, the questions only seem to multiply. Did the ancient builders of Baalbek possess knowledge and techniques that have been lost to time, or were they simply able to accomplish their incredible feats using methods that we are still trying to understand? Are the strange marks on the stones merely the result of the tools and techniques available to ancient craftsmen, or do they point to something more, something that challenges our understanding of ancient history and technology? In the absence of clear answers, the Baalbek Trilithon remains one of the most fascinating and perplexing mysteries of the ancient world. It forces us to reconsider the capabilities of ancient civilizations to wonder what technologies and knowledge they may have possessed, and to question what else may be hidden beneath the surface of our understanding of the distant past. As we look upon the colossal stones of the Trilithon, we are reminded that some mysteries are not easily solved, and that sometimes the answers may lie just beyond our grasp, waiting for a future generation to uncover them. As we leave behind the colossal mysteries of Baalbek, we now venture to the highlands of southern Peru, where the land itself seems to hold the secrets of the ancient world. Here, nestled in the Andean mountains near Lake Titicaca, is one of the most enigmatic sites in all of South America, the Aramu Muru, or Door of the Gods. This megalithic structure, carved into the rock of a secluded canyon, is a singular phenomenon that continues to elude simple explanation. It is a mysterious stone doorway, shaped with such precise craftsmanship that it challenges everything we think we know about ancient engineering. The Door of the Gods is a striking feature of the Aramu Muru site, a large rectangular opening carved into a massive stone wall that seems to lead into the heart of the mountain itself. The doorway measures approximately 7 feet tall and 10 feet wide, with perfectly straight edges and smooth surfaces, as though it were crafted with an unimaginable level of skill and tools far beyond the capacity of the ancient cultures we know. The rock surrounding the door is smooth, polished even, as though it had been worked with a tool or technology capable of achieving a level of precision that is difficult to replicate with modern techniques. What is immediately perplexing about the Door of the Gods is not only the precision with which it was carved, but also its very existence. Why would such an elaborate structure be built into a remote mountainside, far from any significant civilization? And, perhaps more intriguingly, what purpose did it serve? It is clear that the Door of the Gods was not intended as a simple entrance. It seems too purposeful, too intricate, and too mysterious to be a mere functional doorway. Some have suggested that it could have been part of an ancient temple or ceremonial site, but the sheer scale and the deliberate positioning of the doorway raise other possibilities. The location itself adds another layer of intrigue. Aramu Muru lies near Lake Titicaca, a region known for its rich history of ancient cultures, including the enigmatic Tiwanaku civilization, which thrived in the area long before the Inca Empire rose to prominence. The Tiwanaku people were known for their remarkable stonework, including the famous Sun Gate at the site of Tiwanaku, which also exhibits precision-cut stones and mysterious carvings. Could the Aramu Muru door be another relic of this ancient culture, one that left behind its mark in a form that no one has yet been able to decipher? Mainstream scholars suggest that the site, like others in the region, was likely used for ceremonial or religious purposes. The ancient Andean cultures were deeply spiritual, with a worldview centered on the connection between the earth and the heavens. The mountains, especially those around Lake Titicaca, were considered sacred. The idea of a door carved into the rock may have symbolized a gateway between the material world and the spiritual realm, an entry point to the divine or to the underworld. In this view, the precision of the carving could be attributed to the advanced stoneworking techniques of the Tiwanaku, or the Incas, who were known for their remarkable ability to shape and transport stones. Yet, this interpretation leaves many questions unanswered. The precision of the cuts in the rock seems to exceed the capabilities of the stoneworking tools that have been attributed to the Andean civilizations of the time. The edges of the doorway are almost unnaturally straight, and the surfaces surrounding it are smooth to the touch, suggesting that the rock was not simply carved by rudimentary tools, but rather by methods that we cannot fully explain. How did the ancient builders of the Door of the Gods achieve this remarkable level of precision? Could they have had access to technology that we have lost to time? Some researchers have suggested that the Aramu Muru doorway could be far older than the civilizations traditionally associated with the area. Could it be the work of an even more ancient culture? one that possessed advanced knowledge and techniques that have since been forgotten. The idea of an ancient, highly advanced civilization in the Andean highlands is a theory that has been floated in various forms for decades. It is supported in part by the fact that other ancient sites in the region, such as the Sun Gate at Tiwanaku and the giant stones of Sacsayhuaman in Cusco, exhibit a level of engineering sophistication that seems beyond the capabilities of the cultures that are known to have inhabited the region. Could the Door of the Gods be evidence of such a lost civilization? Some suggest that the site may have been a kind of gateway or portal, either literal or symbolic, used by ancient people to connect with beings from another world. The idea of the door as a passageway between worlds has captured the imagination of many, and some have even speculated that it could be a remnant of an ancient technology that allowed for interdimensional travel or communication with extraterrestrial beings. While this theory is speculative and fringe, it does speak to the deeply mysterious and almost otherworldly quality of the site. More grounded theories suggest that the Door of the Gods could have been part of a religious or shamanistic tradition that involved the use of sacred spaces for meditation or trance rituals. Some have pointed to the location of the site as a clue, noting that it is situated in an area that was believed to be the center of the world by ancient Andean peoples. Perhaps the door was meant to symbolize an entry point into the spiritual realm, a place where the sacred and the mundane could intersect. Another hypothesis suggests that the doorway could have been designed to align with celestial events. The ancient Andean cultures were keenly attuned to the movements of the stars, the sun, and the moon. Could the Aramu Muru doorway have been aligned with the rising or setting of a particular star, or the solstices? The precision of the cut suggests that the builders might have been using sophisticated astronomical knowledge, and the doorway itself could have served as a kind of cosmic marker, a place where the earth and the sky met. Yet, no matter how many theories we explore, the true purpose and origin of the Aramu Muru door remain shrouded in mystery. While its beauty and craftsmanship are undeniable, they are not enough to tell us definitively who built it, why it was built, or how it was achieved. Was it a portal to the gods, a spiritual gateway, or a remnant of a forgotten technology? Or was it simply an elaborate ceremonial structure meant to reflect the connection between human beings and the divine? As we gaze upon the smooth, polished surface of the Aramu Muru doorway, it seems to beckon us to look deeper, to consider the possibility that there are elements of ancient knowledge that have been lost, waiting to be rediscovered. Perhaps the doorway is not just a monument to the past, but a reminder that there are still mysteries hidden beneath the surface of history, waiting for us to unlock them. The mystery of the Door of the Gods remains unresolved, but it continues to inspire wonder and curiosity, urging us to explore the unexplained and seek the truths that may still lie beyond the reach of modern understanding. Leaving the high altitudes of the Andes, we turn our attention to another part of the world, one that holds its own enigmatic history in the vast, remote expanses of the Ural Mountains in Russia. This region, known for its rich deposits of minerals and ancient geology, has witnessed the rise and fall of empires. Yet it is a seemingly ordinary discovery here, one that rests in the shadows of mystery, that continues to capture the imagination of researchers. In the cold, snow-covered wilderness, fragments of a strange metal, bizarrely shaped, remarkably preserved, have emerged from the ground, sparking a debate that stretches the limits of both science and history. These are the Ural nanospiral metal fragments. It began in the 1990s when miners working in the remote parts of the Urals stumbled upon unusual metal objects embedded in rock formations. At first glance, the metallic pieces seemed unremarkable, small shards and fragments of what appeared to be metal, discarded debris from ancient mining operations. However, closer examination revealed a striking detail. The fragments were covered with what appeared to be spiral-like patterns that seemed to defy known methods of natural erosion or human craftsmanship. The spirals themselves were unlike anything found in conventional metallurgy. They were not simple grooves, but incredibly precise spirals, some so tight that their diameter was smaller than a human hair. These spirals appeared to follow a regular geometric pattern, and some of the pieces displayed signs of advanced techniques that were far ahead of the metalworking technology known to have existed in the region thousands of years ago. The shapes suggested something of profound interest, a potential link to a time and technology that science has yet to fully understand. The metal fragments were eventually analyzed by a team of researchers who noted their peculiar composition. The metal appeared to contain elements not typically found in ancient artifacts, including traces of rare isotopes and alloys that could only be created under specific, high-energy conditions. These conditions are far beyond the capabilities of ancient cultures, which relied on basic smelting techniques and primitive tools. The implications were immediately clear. The fragments did not come from any known pre-modern source. At first, the fragments were dismissed as nothing more than odd, naturally occurring deposits. But over time, as more fragments were discovered, the mystery grew. What could explain the peculiar structure of these spirals? How could such small, intricate patterns be created in a time when even the most advanced civilizations were just beginning to experiment with metallurgy? Could these spirals represent a form of unknown ancient technology? Or were they something entirely different, a relic of an extraterrestrial origin, perhaps? The question of whether the fragments are evidence of advanced ancient technology is one that still haunts researchers. Mainstream scientists have largely avoided speculating about anything beyond the possibility of natural geological processes. Some suggest that the spirals may have been formed by a specific type of mineralization process over the course of millennia. However, such an explanation falls short of addressing the unnatural precision of the spirals. Could these metal objects have been part of an ancient tool or device, one whose purpose and creators have long been lost to history? An intriguing theory points to the idea that the fragments could be the remnants of a forgotten civilization, one that possessed advanced knowledge of metallurgy, far ahead of its time. The suggestion is that these early metallurgists might have known how to manipulate metals in ways that modern technology is only beginning to understand. Could the metal fragments from the Urals be the last traces of such a civilization? An ancient culture that was far more sophisticated than previously thought. Another, more speculative theory proposes that the fragments could be remnants of an even older technology, perhaps something not of human origin. Some fringe theorists have suggested that the spirals are a form of extraterrestrial metal left behind by a visiting craft or civilization. The precision of the spirals, they argue, could be consistent with advanced technology not yet understood by humanity. While this theory leans heavily into the realm of science fiction, it nonetheless raises a profound question. If these fragments were not created by humans, who, or what, did? What is undeniable, however, is the perplexity surrounding the fragments' origin. They don't fit into any known historical or technological timeline. Even the most advanced metallurgical techniques of ancient cultures do not match the precision and composition of these fragments. The fact that these spirals have been found in a remote part of the world, buried deep within the earth, only adds to the sense of otherworldliness surrounding them. The idea that such advanced, intricate patterns were embedded in the very geology of the Ural Mountains seems to defy the conventional understanding of ancient technology. As the debate continues, more questions arise. If these fragments are the result of a lost civilization, what did they know that we do not? Could they have mastered techniques that we can only dream of today? What happened to that civilization, and why did it vanish without a trace? And if the fragments are not of human origin, what are we to make of their strange, almost perfect design? The fact that the Ural nanospiral fragments remain a mystery adds to the allure of ancient puzzles that resist resolution. While the scientific community may continue to explore possible explanations, the true nature of these artifacts remains elusive. Each new discovery raises the stakes, and with each fragment found, the possibility grows that the answer to this riddle might lie hidden in plain sight, waiting for a new generation of researchers to uncover the truth. Perhaps the fragments are not the product of a lost civilization, nor of extraterrestrial visitors, but the remnants of a forgotten human ingenuity, an advanced technology that was once known but lost to time and catastrophe. The idea that such technology could exist so far back in human history raises profound questions about what we have yet to uncover about our own past. What other secrets might the Urals hold, waiting beneath the surface for the right moment to reveal themselves? As we stand in the shadows of these seemingly alien fragments, one thing is clear. The Ural nanospiral metal fragments continue to invite more questions than answers. Each theory offers a glimpse into a deeper mystery, one that challenges our understanding of ancient human capability and possibly even our place in the universe. The true origin of these metal fragments remains a puzzle, a mystery that refuses to be solved, yet beckons us to keep looking, to keep wondering about what ancient knowledge might still be hidden beneath the surface of the earth. As we leave behind the metallic mysteries of the Ural Mountains, we turn our attention to the forests of New England, where another enigma waits to be uncovered. Tucked away in the serene surroundings of Lake Winnipesaukee, New Hampshire, lies an object that has confounded archaeologists, historians, and even the most seasoned experts: the Lake Winnipesaukee Mystery Stone. This small, unassuming stone, just 6 inches in diameter, carries with it an aura of the unknown, a legacy that stretches back centuries, yet remains cloaked in secrecy. The stone, discovered in the early 19th century, is smooth and round, with a hole drilled cleanly through its center. At first glance, it might appear to be nothing more than a simple artifact, perhaps some kind of primitive tool or a ceremonial object. However, upon closer inspection, its significance grows more complex. The Mystery Stone is far from ordinary. Its shape and craftsmanship suggest a degree of purpose and intent that raises immediate questions. Its smooth, rounded form and the precision of the hole suggest a deliberate process of creation that would have required tools and knowledge not commonly attributed to Native American cultures of the region. The purpose of the hole is equally baffling. It's not a natural feature, but rather a carefully made incision, suggesting that the stone was meant to be used in a specific way. But how? And for what? Mainstream explanations often lean on the idea that the stone was a ritual or ceremonial object, perhaps created by the indigenous peoples who inhabited the area long before European settlers arrived. The Algonquin, Abenaki, and other tribes of the northeastern United States had complex spiritual practices that involved the use of stones in ceremonies, possibly as part of their connections to the earth and the forces of nature. Could the Mystery Stone have been a tool used in these ceremonies, a symbolic object that held spiritual significance? However, this explanation does not quite satisfy all those who have studied the stone. What sets the Lake Winnipesaukee Mystery Stone apart from other artifacts of its kind is its peculiar and sophisticated construction. The hole through its center is not something that could be easily replicated with the tools available to ancient peoples of the region. It is too precise, too deliberate, suggesting a level of skill and knowledge that exceeds the common tools used for crafting stone objects. Some researchers have even suggested that the hole might have been made with tools far more advanced than those used by Native Americans. Could it be that the stone was created by a much older civilization, one that existed long before the cultures we know from the historical record? An alternative theory proposes that the stone might be the product of an ancient culture outside of North America entirely, perhaps even an extraterrestrial origin. This idea, though fringe, has been suggested by some researchers who claim that the precision of the hole, combined with the stone's enigmatic nature, points to an outside influence. Could this stone be a relic of a long-forgotten civilization that had access to technologies beyond our understanding? Some suggest that the hole might have been created by a laser-like tool, one that could cut through stone with an accuracy that would be impossible for primitive tools to achieve. While such ideas remain speculative and unproven, they continue to fuel the intrigue surrounding the stone. There are also those who propose that the stone was a form of ancient currency, perhaps a type of stone money used by a civilization that no longer exists. The concept of stone money is not entirely foreign to history. Consider the famous rye stones of the Pacific island of Yap, which were large, round stones used as currency in the island's society. Could the Winnipesaukee mystery stone have functioned in a similar way, possibly as a token of value or a status symbol in an ancient society? As with many mysteries, the true purpose and origin of the stone remain elusive. In the absence of definitive evidence, the stone continues to defy easy classification. Was it a tool, a ceremonial object, or something far more significant, perhaps a relic from a lost civilization? The mystery of the stone is compounded by its curious discovery. It was unearthed not through the careful excavation of archaeologists, but by accident, during the construction of a dam in 1836. Its discovery in such an unexpected context only deepened the mystery. If the stone was a significant artifact, why was it buried in such an ordinary setting, far from any known ancient burial sites or ceremonial grounds? One of the more intriguing aspects of the Winnipesaukee mystery stone is its connection to the surrounding region. The stone was found near the shores of Lake Winnipesaukee, a place long known for its deep, mysterious waters and the legends that swirl around it. Some Native American tribes spoke of sacred places around the lake, believing the waters to be enchanted or possessing special powers. Could the stone have been linked to these spiritual beliefs, or was it perhaps a marker or a symbol of something greater? Interestingly, the stone's precise origin has never been definitively determined, despite extensive efforts to study it. There is no known archaeological context for its discovery, no accompanying artifacts, no clear indication of its use. This lack of context only adds to the enigma surrounding it. The question remains: if the stone was used for ceremonial or ritual purposes, what ceremonies took place near the lake, and who were the people that crafted such an object? And why does it seem so out of place, with no direct connection to the cultures of the region? Its isolated and mysterious existence raises further doubts about our understanding of the region's ancient history. While mainstream theories point to the stone's likely origins within indigenous cultures of the Northeast, its strange features cannot easily be dismissed. The precision with which the hole was drilled through the stone, combined with its seemingly deliberate design, raises the possibility that the object might have been crafted using methods that were either lost to time or influenced by external, perhaps even unknown, sources. Could this be an artifact from a time and place that predated the Native American cultures in the area? Or is it a remnant of a society whose existence has slipped through the cracks of history, leaving only its artifacts behind to whisper their secrets? And, as with many ancient objects, we are left wondering, could there be other objects like it still buried beneath the earth, waiting to be discovered? Could the Lake Winnipesaukee Mystery Stone be one part of a much larger, still hidden history, one that could change our understanding of ancient cultures and their capabilities. The questions seem endless, and the answers elusive. As we continue to search for clues, we are reminded that the stone, like so many other mysterious artifacts from around the world, stands as a testament to the complexity of our past, one that is far richer, more varied, and more enigmatic than we often imagine. And perhaps, like so many others, the Lake Winnipesaukee Mystery Stone will continue to haunt us with its silence, offering just enough hints to keep the curiosity alive, but never quite enough to reveal its full story. What is its true origin? What knowledge or story might it contain? For now, the stone waits, quietly, as a reminder of the mysteries that still remain locked away in the hidden corners of our world. Leaving the shores of Lake Winnipesaukee, we now shift our focus southward into the ancient, mist-covered mountains of western North Carolina. Here, beneath the thick canopy of trees in the remote reaches of the Appalachian Range, lies a site of mysterious carvings, a place where the natural world and the human imagination have intersected in ways that continue to elude full understanding. This is Judaculla Rock, a petroglyph site shrouded in both beauty and enigma, where thousands of markings etched into stone tell stories of a time long past, and yet leave us with more questions than answers. The rock itself is an imposing figure, a large outcrop of soapstone measuring over 15 feet in length and adorned with hundreds of intricate symbols. At first glance, it might appear to be a natural rock formation, weathered by centuries of rain and wind. But as you draw closer, the true nature of Judaculla Rock becomes clear. This is no ordinary boulder. It is a canvas, an ancient one, carved into by a long-forgotten hand. The carvings themselves are varied, ranging from geometric shapes to figures that may represent animals, humans, or supernatural beings. Some patterns are simple, while others are so complex that they seem to defy any single interpretation. The sheer density of the carvings on Judaculla Rock suggests that it may have been a sacred site, a place of deep cultural and spiritual significance for the people who left their mark here. Dating back to at least 1000 BC, these petroglyphs are believed to have been created by Native American tribes who inhabited the region long before the arrival of Europeans. The Cherokee people, who have long lived in the area, have passed down oral traditions that mention the rock as a sacred place, one that was said to be inhabited by a powerful spirit. According to Cherokee legend, Judaculla was a giant, a creature of immense strength and mystical power, who could carve these symbols into the rock with a single swipe of his hand. This mythic connection to the land raises the question: what significance did these petroglyphs hold for the ancient peoples who lived here, and why were they so intent on leaving such detailed marks behind? Mainstream explanations often suggest that the petroglyphs were part of ritualistic practices, symbols used for spiritual or religious purposes. Some believe the rock may have been a site for tribal ceremonies, possibly connected to the worship of natural forces, celestial bodies, or ancestral spirits. The dense concentration of symbols suggests that Judaculla Rock may have served as a communication tool, a form of ancient writing or record-keeping. Could these markings represent stories, myths, or even maps of the surrounding terrain? It's clear that the markings hold meaning that has yet to be fully understood. But if these symbols were intended as a form of communication, who were they meant to communicate with? Were they messages for other tribes, or were they messages to the gods, to the spirits, or perhaps to those who would come long after the creators of the petroglyphs had disappeared? The ambiguity of these symbols only deepens the mystery. Their complexity and variety suggest that the creators of these petroglyphs possessed a sophisticated understanding of symbols and meaning, far beyond the simple decoration or ornamentation that one might expect from prehistoric art. As we study the rock's carvings more closely, we are struck by the diversity of the motifs. Some of the designs appear to represent animals, deer, birds, and serpents, all of which were significant to the ancient inhabitants of the region. Other symbols are far more abstract, spirals, wavy lines, and interlocking shapes that seem to suggest a deeper, more esoteric knowledge. One particularly puzzling feature of the rock is the so-called Judaculla handprint, a large stylized imprint of a human hand, which some believe may have been created by placing the hand on the stone and marking around it, or even pressing it directly into the surface. Why was this handprint included among the other designs? What was its purpose? The sheer density of the carvings on Judaculla rock has led some researchers to propose that the site was not simply a place of spiritual significance, but perhaps a form of proto-writing. Some speculate that the petroglyphs might represent an early form of record-keeping, perhaps a type of mnemonic system used to preserve tribal knowledge. Others have suggested that the rock served as a place for tracking celestial movements, given the clear connection between many of the symbols and patterns that resemble stars and constellations. Could the rock have functioned as an ancient calendar, a tool used to mark the changing seasons, or to predict natural events such as eclipses or the migration patterns of animals? Yet, as with many ancient mysteries, alternative and fringe theories have emerged. Some have suggested that the petroglyphs may not be of Native American origin at all, proposing instead that they could have been created by a long-lost civilization, one with knowledge and technology far beyond the people of the region. Could the petroglyphs have been created by a seafaring culture that reached the Americas long before the ancestors of modern Native Americans arrived? Or, more speculatively, could the symbols be of extraterrestrial origin, created by beings from beyond our world? The idea of ancient alien contact has captivated imaginations for decades, and Judaculla rock, with its intricate and seemingly otherworldly markings, fits neatly into this narrative for some. One of the more tantalizing aspects of the rock is the fact that it is not just a simple collection of markings. The carvings seem to follow patterns that suggest a level of intentionality, and the site's location, tucked away in the mountains, adds to the feeling that this was a place that held special importance. Was it chosen for its spiritual significance, its alignment with the stars, or simply because it was a place where the natural world spoke most clearly to the people who inhabited this land? The idea that Judaculla rock was more than just a physical site, that it was, in some way, a point of connection between the earthly and the spiritual, seems to be a common thread running through many of the theories. Yet, as we look at the petroglyphs, the questions remain unanswered. Despite decades of research, there is no consensus on the true meaning of the symbols, and no definitive explanation for the origin of the carvings. The site has been studied, photographed, and analyzed by generations of archaeologists and scholars, yet it remains an enigma. What then are we to make of these markings? Are they the remnants of a long-forgotten language, a map, a guide, or a spiritual record? Or are they simply the creative expression of an ancient people, whose ways of thinking and being in the world were far more intricate than we can imagine? As we stand before Judaculla rock, gazing at the spirals, figures, and enigmatic shapes etched into its surface, we are reminded that history is often not a simple story of who did what and when. It is a complex web of meanings, beliefs, and experiences that are, at times, lost to time. The mystery of Judaculla rock invites us to ponder not only the knowledge of those who came before us, but the ways in which that knowledge has been preserved, etched into stone, passed down through stories, or left to fade away in the silent corners of forgotten places. What else, we wonder, might still be hidden in these mountains, waiting to reveal itself? And what does it mean that, after all these years, the questions still persist unanswered? As we leave the enigmatic landscapes of the Appalachian foothills, we now turn our gaze to the arid, sun-drenched deserts of southern Peru, where another mystery waits to be unraveled. Here, high in the rugged foothills of the Andes, beneath the clear blue sky, lies one of the most intriguing and perplexing archaeological sites of South America, Toro Muerto. This vast petroglyph field is not just another collection of ancient carvings, but a sprawling canvas of over 5,000 intricate and complex symbols etched into volcanic rock. And while the sheer scale of the site is striking enough, it's the mystery of the petroglyphs themselves that continues to baffle researchers and historians. Toro Muerto is an extraordinary site, one that seems almost too vast and intricate to have been created by the ancient cultures of the region. The petroglyphs stretch over an area of more than 4 square kilometers, scattered across a barren, rocky landscape. The carvings vary in size, with some measuring only a few inches across, while others are as large as several feet. The petroglyphs are carved into the volcanic rock in striking patterns: spirals, geometric shapes, animal motifs, and human-like figures. At first glance, they might appear as random designs, but as you begin to observe them more closely, a pattern begins to emerge, one that suggests these carvings may have had deeper, more purposeful meanings. The origins of the Toro Muerto petroglyphs are believed to date back to between 1000 BC and 1000 AD, with the site attributed to the Wari civilization, an Andean culture that preceded the Inca Empire. The Wari were known for their advanced knowledge in agriculture, metallurgy, and pottery, and it is thought that they created these carvings as part of their complex spiritual and religious practices. Many of the petroglyphs at Toro Muerto are believed to represent animals that were significant to the Wari: llamas, deer, birds, and snakes. But there are also symbols that defy easy interpretation. Some of the carvings appear to be abstract or stylized versions of animals, while others seem almost entirely alien in their design. What did these figures mean to the people who created them, and what purpose did they serve? Mainstream theories suggest that the petroglyphs at Toro Muerto may have been created for religious or ceremonial purposes. Some scholars believe the carvings were part of rituals designed to honor the gods or spirits of nature, while others propose that they were a form of communication between different communities. Perhaps they were markers of territory, or a method of sharing stories and cultural knowledge across generations. The site's sheer scale suggests that it was not merely a local effort, but rather something that could have served as a sacred site for multiple tribes or communities in the region, each contributing their own unique markings to the rock. But while these explanations fit the evidence in many ways, there are aspects of the site that remain deeply puzzling. For one, the sheer density of the petroglyphs is unusual. The carvings at Toro Muerto don't just occur in isolated pockets. They are spread across a massive expanse of land, and the number of petroglyphs only seems to increase the further you explore. Was this site meant to serve as a kind of sacred canvas, one that successive generations of Wari and other peoples returned to year after year to add new symbols and images? Or could this explosion of petroglyphs point to something even more profound? A place where different cultures or even different peoples converged, leaving behind their marks as part of a much larger, ongoing narrative? Some researchers have proposed that the petroglyphs at Toro Muerto may have served as a form of written language, a method of encoding information in symbols. While the Wari had a highly developed society, no known written language has been definitively linked to their culture. Could the carvings at Toro Muerto represent an early form of writing, a kind of pictographic script that was meant to record events, map territories, or pass down important stories or knowledge? In fact, some of the petroglyphs appear to resemble a rudimentary form of writing, with distinct and repeating motifs that could indicate a more systematic method of communication. But if this was an early form of writing, then why hasn't more of it been discovered elsewhere in Wari sites? And why do some of the petroglyphs seem so abstract, as if deliberately designed to avoid direct interpretation? Adding to the complexity of Toro Muerto are the more speculative theories that have emerged over the years. Some suggest that the petroglyphs at the site may be evidence of a lost or forgotten civilization, one that existed long before the Wari and other known cultures of the Andes. These theories often point to the sheer precision and complexity of the carvings, suggesting that they were created by a civilization with advanced knowledge and capabilities. Could Toro Muerto be the remnants of an earlier, long-lost civilization that had contact with the Wari, or perhaps even influenced their artistic traditions? This idea has fueled the fringe theory that the petroglyphs are the work of an ancient civilization with knowledge that was passed down through generations and possibly even lost to history. If these people had knowledge far beyond their time, could they have had contact with other advanced civilizations or even extraterrestrial beings? While this theory remains highly speculative, it's clear that Toro Muerto was a place of great importance, and the petroglyphs left behind by the ancient people who lived there continue to intrigue researchers and historians. What role did these carvings play in the lives of the people who created them? Were they simply decorative, or did they hold deeper, more cryptic meanings? Could they be a form of visual storytelling, a method of recording history or celestial events, or even a way of communicating with supernatural forces? The sheer number of petroglyphs at Toro Muerto invites a multitude of interpretations. Some petroglyphs seem to depict the animals that were central to the Wari's daily life, while others suggest more abstract ideas, shapes that resemble the sun, the moon, or the stars, hinting at the possibility that the site was used for astronomical purposes. Perhaps the carvings were a way of marking significant events, such as celestial alignments or seasonal changes. Were these petroglyphs created by different tribes over time, each leaving their mark as a way of contributing to a shared sacred space? Or could the site have served as a single, continuous place of pilgrimage, a place where people traveled from distant lands to make their offerings and add their symbols to the rock? As we gaze upon the intricate carvings of Toro Muerto, we are left with more questions than answers. Despite decades of research, the purpose of these petroglyphs remains unclear, and their true meaning is still a mystery. Were they the product of a single culture, or were they the work of multiple peoples over time? And why does the site appear to have exploded in such a concentrated, widespread way, covering the landscape with an overwhelming number of designs? Perhaps, as with many ancient mysteries, the true significance of Toro Muerto lies beyond our current understanding. Could there be more hidden in the rocks, secrets waiting to be uncovered, patterns waiting to be decoded? As we stand before this ancient canvas, we are reminded that the past is never as clear as it seems. For every answer we uncover, more questions emerge, and Toro Muerto remains a testament to the complexity and mystery of the ancient world, a world whose secrets continue to whisper through the ages, waiting for us to listen. As we leave the enigmatic expanses of Toro Muerto, we now find ourselves in the heart of the Andean highlands, in the shadow of the ancient city of Cusco, Peru. This is a place where stone walls tower over the land like silent sentinels, remnants of a civilization whose secrets have yet to be fully unraveled. Among the most perplexing of these ancient structures is the impressive Sacsayhuaman, a megalithic fortress that has stood for centuries, its walls made of colossal stones that seem to defy the very laws of physics. The stones here are some of the largest ever seen in ancient construction, with some blocks weighing more than 100 tons. But there is one question that has haunted archaeologists, engineers, and historians for generations. How did the Inca, or whoever built Sacsayhuaman, move and precisely shape such massive stones with the limited technology of their time? And could the answer lie not in brute force, but in a mysterious process that could have softened the stone itself? Sacsayhuaman is a marvel of ancient engineering, its walls composed of giant stones so perfectly fitted together that not even a razor blade can slip between them. The precision is staggering. There are no visible mortar joints, and the stones seem to lock together with an almost unnatural harmony. The sheer scale of the construction site and the complexity of its design has led to a range of theories about how the Inca could have achieved such an extraordinary feat. Most historians agree that the site was built by the Inca, but the methods they used to create such a monumental structure remain a mystery. For centuries, scholars have speculated on the techniques the Inca might have used to shape and move these massive stones. The traditional explanation involves the use of simple tools: copper hammers, wooden wedges, and ropes. However, this doesn't seem to account for the level of precision involved in shaping and fitting the stones so perfectly. The most common theory is that the Inca somehow softened the stones, allowing them to be shaped with far more ease and accuracy than would be possible with traditional methods. Could this theory hold the key to understanding how Sacsayhuaman was built? At the heart of the Sacsayhuaman stone softening theory is the idea that the builders may have used some form of heat, vibration, or perhaps a chemical process to soften the stones, making them more malleable and easier to manipulate. This hypothesis is not entirely new. It's been proposed by various researchers, including geologists and alternative archaeologists, who have suggested that the Inca possessed advanced knowledge of materials science that has since been lost to time. According to this theory, the massive stones, made from a type of limestone called calcareous sandstone, may have been heated or treated in such a way that they became softer and more workable. This idea of softening stone through heat or other means is based on the observation that the stones of Sacsayhuaman, though seemingly hard and unyielding, appear to have undergone some form of transformation in their composition. Some researchers claim that the stones exhibit signs of having been altered, such as unusual markings or discoloration, that suggest they were not quarried and transported in the traditional way. There are even reports of the stones having a slightly gelatinous or liquid appearance at certain angles, which has fueled further speculation about how the stones could have been manipulated into their precise shapes. One of the most popular theories suggests that the Inca may have used an advanced form of heat treatment to soften the stones. The process would involve heating the stones to a high temperature, possibly using fires built near the rock face, and then rapidly cooling them. This might cause the stone to crack and break along predetermined lines, making it easier to shape and move. Such a process would also explain the seemingly flawless joints between the stones. If they had been softened, the stones could be pressed into place with greater precision, their surfaces melding together perfectly. However, there are a number of challenges with this theory. For one, it is unclear whether the Inca had access to the kind of high-temperature fires that would be necessary to soften such large stones. Another issue is that heating and cooling stone in this way can often cause it to fracture or weaken, which seems to contradict the durability and strength of the stones at Sacsayhuaman. Despite these challenges, the theory persists, largely due to the overwhelming precision of the masonry, which remains inexplicable by conventional means. Another possibility is that the Inca used sound waves or vibrations to soften the stones. Some proponents of this theory argue that the Inca, or whoever built the site, had knowledge of acoustics that we are only beginning to understand. The idea is that certain frequencies of sound can cause materials to vibrate and even soften. In this scenario, the builders of Sacsayhuaman might have harnessed sound waves to manipulate the stone, using instruments or techniques that have since been lost to history. There are even claims of ancient sonic tools, or vibrating devices that could have been used in this process, though no evidence of such tools has ever been found. For many, the mystery of how these massive stones were moved and shaped is linked to a broader question. did the Inca possess advanced technologies that we have yet to uncover, or is there another explanation entirely? Some even suggest that the softening of the stone may not have been a physical process at all, but a spiritual or metaphysical one. In Andean culture, the physical and spiritual worlds were often intertwined, and some believe that the Inca may have used rituals, chants, or ceremonies to transform the stones, imbuing them with a sacred quality that made them more pliable. While this idea may seem far-fetched to some, it reflects the deep connection between the Inca and the natural world, where stones, mountains, and rivers were seen as living beings with their own spiritual energy. Despite the many theories, no conclusive evidence has yet been found to explain the mystery of how the Inca, or whoever built Sacsayhuaman, manipulated the massive stones with such precision. Could the softening theory hold the key to understanding the incredible feats of engineering at Sacsayhuaman? Or is it possible that we are still looking for answers in all the wrong places? The truth may lie in a combination of advanced technologies, forgotten methods, and perhaps even spiritual practices that we have yet to fully comprehend. As we stand before the towering walls of Sacsayhuaman, gazing at the perfectly interlocking stones, the question remains: what secrets do these stones still hold? Could the Inca have unlocked knowledge that has since been lost to time, or was their mastery over stone a product of ingenuity and labor far beyond what we can fully appreciate today? The mystery of the Sacsayhuaman stone softening theory, like so many others, may never be fully solved. But as we continue to look closer, to question the limits of what we know, we can't help but wonder, what might still be hidden in the stones, waiting for us to uncover? As we transition from the windswept deserts of Peru to the mysterious shores of Japan, we arrive at a submerged site that has fascinated archaeologists, divers, and conspiracy theorists alike: the Yonaguni Terrace, located off the coast of Yonaguni Island in the Ryukyu archipelago. Hidden beneath the waves, this submerged formation has been the subject of intense debate for decades. Some believe it to be the remains of an ancient, sunken city, its once majestic terraces and structures now lying beneath the ocean's surface, slowly eroded by time and the elements. Others maintain that it is a natural geological formation, an unusual but purely accidental feature of the ocean floor. But within the terraces of Yonaguni, one feature stands out above all others: a series of peculiar micro-patterns on the stone surfaces, marks that appear to have been deliberately crafted, suggesting that something far more sophisticated might lie beneath the surface of this underwater mystery. The Yonaguni Terrace is composed of massive stone structures, some of which are remarkably flat, angular, and seemingly designed with human precision. The formation consists of what appears to be a series of stepped terraces and large platforms that seem eerily reminiscent of other ancient structures, such as the step pyramids of the Maya or the ziggurats of Mesopotamia. These features have led some researchers to theorize that they may be the remnants of an ancient civilization long lost to the sea. The terraces rise from the ocean floor like a forgotten monument, their stone surfaces smooth and almost perfectly aligned, as though shaped by a powerful, intelligent hand. When first discovered in the 1980s, the Yonaguni Terrace was initially thought to be a natural formation, the result of geological forces over thousands of years. The idea that the sharp edges and precise angles were created by nature seemed plausible. After all, nature has a way of producing astonishingly regular shapes in rock formations. However, as underwater surveys and further examinations of the site continued, a more puzzling discovery was made: intricate micro-patterns etched into the stone surfaces. These patterns, which appear to be small, regular indentations or grooves, have sparked a debate that continues to this day. At first glance, these marks might seem incidental, small cracks or the result of natural erosion, but closer examination reveals something far more deliberate. The grooves, arranged in a regular and geometric manner, appear almost man-made. They don't resemble the kinds of patterns you would expect from erosion or water currents. Some marks are finely detailed, as if carved by tools, while others form symmetrical, grid-like arrangements, suggesting a knowledge of mathematics and design that would have been advanced for any ancient civilization, let alone one supposedly buried beneath the waves. The patterns have intrigued many researchers, particularly because they seem to imply a level of sophistication that doesn't fit with the mainstream view of prehistoric Japan. If these micro-patterns were created intentionally, they would suggest that a technologically advanced culture existed here long before recorded history, leaving behind a legacy that has been almost entirely submerged and forgotten. But how could such patterns have been created, and who could have crafted them? One of the most prominent theories is that the Yonaguni Terrace is indeed the remains of an ancient, man-made structure, possibly an entire city or complex. According to this view, the precise cutting and shaping of the stone might have been accomplished using tools and techniques lost to time. Some proponents of this theory speculate that the builders may have used rudimentary tools, such as stone chisels or early metal instruments, to carve these micro-patterns with extraordinary precision. There are even suggestions that these marks could be the remnants of a form of stoneworking that utilized sound or vibration to carve and shape the rock, an idea that harkens back to some of the more fringe theories surrounding ancient technologies. Despite the intriguing evidence, no direct evidence of such a civilization has been found at the site. No artifacts, no pottery, no inscriptions, only these mysterious stone formations. Some have suggested that the patterns could have been the result of a process known as stone dressing, a technique used to smooth and shape large stone blocks. However, the regularity and symmetry of the patterns suggest a level of intentionality that goes far beyond simple practical design. Could these markings have served a symbolic or ritualistic purpose? Were they intended to convey a specific message, or perhaps to guide people in some way? Of course, there are those who reject the idea that Yonaguni is anything more than a natural formation. They point to other submerged sites around the world, such as the underwater city off the coast of Cuba, as evidence that natural forces can create remarkably regular patterns in stone. According to this view, the shapes and grooves found on the Yonaguni Terrace could have been caused by natural erosion, currents, or the shifting of tectonic plates over millennia. While these natural processes can indeed produce shapes that appear man-made, the complexity and regularity of the Yonaguni marks make it difficult for many to dismiss the possibility of intentional craftsmanship. Another theory suggests that the marks on the stones may not have been made by humans at all, but by a different, more advanced civilization that existed long before the Inca, the Maya, or even the Japanese. Could these marks be evidence of a long-lost civilization that predates all known cultures? This theory, which taps into ideas of Atlantis-like cultures, is often dismissed by mainstream scholars, but continues to attract attention due to the puzzling nature of the site. Yet another theory proposes that the micro-patterns could be the result of a forgotten technique, perhaps one that utilized heat or chemical processes to alter the texture of the stone. Could the builders of Yonaguni have used some kind of advanced, lost technology to soften the rock or carve into it in ways that we can't replicate today? While this idea remains speculative, it raises intriguing questions about what ancient cultures might have known, and whether we might have lost knowledge that was once commonplace. As the years pass and further research is conducted, the Yonaguni Terrace continues to elude definitive answers. Is it the remains of an ancient city, or a natural formation shaped by forces beyond our current understanding? The micro-patterns on the stones remain the most perplexing aspect of the site. Deliberate or accidental, they seem to tell a story, one that stretches far back into the forgotten past, yet remains locked beneath the waves. One thing is certain: as we continue to dive deeper into the mysteries of the Yonaguni Terrace, we are left with more questions than answers. What civilization, if any, left behind these cryptic carvings? What were these marks meant to convey, and how were they created with such precision? Could Yonaguni truly be a remnant of a lost city, submerged by a cataclysmic event long ago? Or is it simply another example of nature's uncanny ability to mimic the designs of human craftsmanship? Perhaps, as with so many ancient mysteries, the truth lies hidden beneath layers of time, waiting to be uncovered. As we stand on the edge of the known world, looking at the strange and mysterious patterns etched into the stone, we can only wonder, what else might lie buried in the depths waiting for us to discover? As we transition from the mysterious depths of Yonaguni, we now journey into the heart of one of Egypt's most sacred and enigmatic archaeological sites, Abydos. Here, nestled on the banks of the Nile, lies the Osirian, a monument that has puzzled archaeologists, historians, and engineers for centuries. This is not just any ancient structure. It is a place shrouded in mystery, where the very foundations seem to pulse with a deep, ancient power. The Osirian, built during the reign of Seti I in the 13th century BC, is not only a stunning testament to the skill and ambition of ancient Egyptian architecture, but also a place that raises more questions than answers, particularly when it comes to its unusual water engineering. The Osirian is a subterranean temple situated beneath the main temple complex of Abydos, and is said to be dedicated to Osiris, the god of the afterlife. Its purpose has long been the subject of debate. While it is generally believed to be a tomb or a ceremonial space connected to the worship of Osiris, its design, particularly its use of water features, has led to alternative interpretations. The most striking feature of the Osirian is the presence of a large artificial pool that once held water, as well as the advanced engineering behind its construction. The pool, which is still visible today, sits at the very center of the complex and is surrounded by massive stone pillars, all carefully arranged to evoke a sense of awe and reverence. What sets the Osirian apart from other tombs or temples of the period is its integration of water as a central element. Water, a symbol of life, death, and rebirth in Egyptian culture, was carefully channeled into the space, filling the pool with water that once shimmered in the dim light of the temple. The precise engineering involved in this feature is stunning. The pool was not just a decorative element, it was a functional part of the structure, and some believe it may have had a much deeper symbolic role in the rituals associated with Osiris. Was this water intended to represent the Nile itself, the life-giving force of Egypt? Or did it serve a more complex, perhaps even esoteric, purpose? The question of how the water was managed in this subterranean setting is equally mysterious. Despite the arid conditions of the surrounding desert, the Osirian seems to have been designed to hold and circulate water in ways that would have been difficult to achieve with the technology available at the time. Some scholars suggest that the pool may have been connected to a sophisticated system of canals and aqueducts fed by the nearby Nile River. But the precise mechanisms of this water flow remain unclear. Was there an advanced system of pumps and channels at work, hidden beneath the earth? Or did the water simply flow into the space naturally, perhaps through subterranean springs or aquifers? The fact that no clear evidence of such a system has been uncovered leaves the water engineering of the Osirian as one of its most perplexing mysteries. Mainstream archaeologists have often described the Osirian as a symbolic representation of the underworld, a place of rebirth where the deceased could pass through water on their journey to the afterlife. The water, in this sense, may have represented the primordial waters of chaos that existed before creation, and its role in the temple could have been integral to the rituals that were performed there. However, this interpretation raises further questions. Why, if the water's role was purely symbolic, did the builders go to such lengths to engineer a sophisticated system that allowed the pool to be filled and maintained? Was the engineering necessary for the sacred rites, or was it something more practical, perhaps serving to cool the space during the hot Egyptian summers or to create a serene atmosphere for the worshippers. Some alternative theories suggest that the Osirians' water system may have been linked to an even older, perhaps pre-dynastic knowledge of water management and hydraulic engineering. The sophistication of the system and the fact that it was integrated into a sacred structure has led some to speculate that the builders of the Osirian may have had access to advanced technologies that have been lost to history. Could the Egyptians have inherited or developed techniques for water manipulation that were far beyond what is understood today? The use of water in temples and tombs is not unique to the Osirian, but the complexity and design of the Osirians' water features make it stand out, suggesting that the builders possessed an exceptional understanding of hydraulic systems. One particularly intriguing theory is that the water in the Osirian may have been used in an ancient form of energy generation. Some researchers suggest that the water could have been part of a much larger energy system, one that harnessed the natural flow of water to generate power. Could the Osirian have been part of an ancient power plant, where the flow of water was used to generate electricity or to activate some form of mechanical system? While this idea may seem far-fetched, it raises questions about the potential capabilities of ancient civilizations. Could the Egyptians have had access to technologies that allowed them to manipulate natural forces in ways that we have forgotten? Adding to the enigma is the fact that the Osirians' water features seem to have been deliberately engineered to align with the cycles of the Nile. The ancient Egyptians were keenly aware of the rhythms of the river, and they built their temples and tombs with a deep understanding of how water played a role in both the physical and spiritual aspects of life. Some scholars propose that the Osirians' water system was designed to mimic the annual flooding of the Nile, an event that was central to Egyptian religious beliefs. The flooding of the Nile was seen as a manifestation of the tears of Isis, mourning her dead husband Osiris, and it was believed to represent the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Was the Osirians' water pool intended to serve as a symbolic recreation of this flood, allowing the deceased to pass through the waters and emerge reborn, just as Osiris himself was resurrected? Despite extensive research, no conclusive answers have emerged. The Osirians' true purpose, particularly the role of water within the structure, remains an enduring mystery. The engineering behind the water system, the precise mechanisms involved, and the symbolic significance of the water in the religious practices of the time are all subjects that continue to elude our understanding. The advanced knowledge required to build such a structure, with its intricate water management, suggests that the builders of the Osirian possessed a level of expertise that may have been lost to time. As we stand in awe before the ancient stone walls of the Osirian, gazing at the still waters that once shimmered in the darkened recesses of the temple, we are reminded that the past holds more mysteries than we may ever truly understand. The Osirian, with its enigmatic water features, challenges our assumptions about ancient civilizations and their abilities. Could there be secrets hidden within its depths that we have yet to uncover? Or is the mystery of the Osirian simply another testament to the complexity and ingenuity of the ancient world, an enigma that may never be fully solved? The answers may lie beneath the sand, within the intricate carvings and hidden mechanisms of the temple. As we continue to study this remarkable site, we must ask ourselves, what might still be buried, waiting to reveal the secrets of ancient water engineering and the rituals of the gods? As we leave behind the enigmatic waters of the Osirian, we now find ourselves in the high, windswept plains of the Andes, in the heart of South America, where the ancient city of Tiahuanaco, or Tiwanaku, rests beneath the shadows of the snow-capped peaks of Bolivia. Once a thriving center of culture and power, this site is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, its ruins scattered across the landscape like ancient puzzle pieces. Among the many mysteries of Tiahuanaco, one stands out above the rest: the remarkable precision of the H-blocks. These enormous stone blocks, each weighing several tons, are found in the ruins of the temple complex, and they display a level of standardization and craftsmanship that raises more questions than answers. How were they cut, moved, and precisely placed? What advanced techniques or tools did the builders use to achieve such extraordinary precision? The H-blocks are large, rectangular stones with carefully cut faces and sharp right-angle corners, seemingly designed to fit together with perfect alignment. Some of these blocks appear to have been shaped with tools that left behind precise, flat surfaces, and the way in which they interlock with one another suggests a level of craftsmanship that surpasses what should have been possible for the civilization that built them. The level of precision in the cutting and placement of these blocks is so extraordinary that it has sparked an ongoing debate. How were these massive stones, some weighing as much as 130 tons, shaped and positioned with such accuracy, especially considering that the builders of Tiahuanaco had no access to the advanced tools or technologies we take for granted today? The mainstream theory is that the Tiahuanaco civilization, which flourished between approximately 300 BC and 1000 AD, used basic stone tools such as chisels and hammers to carve these massive blocks. While this explanation accounts for the apparent craftsmanship, it does not adequately explain the level of precision found in the H-blocks. The stone faces of the blocks are often so smooth and flat that even modern machinery struggles to replicate the effect. Moreover, many of the blocks show signs of having been shaped with incredible accuracy, not only in terms of their flatness, but also their symmetry. The blocks are cut with such precision that it's difficult to even insert a thin blade between them. The geometry involved in their design is so refined that it has led to speculation about the possibility of some kind of lost, advanced technique or knowledge. Some researchers believe that the builders of Tiahuanaco had access to tools or methods that we are only beginning to understand, or perhaps have already forgotten. Could the stoneworkers have used an unknown form of machinery, or even something as speculative as sound or vibration to shape the blocks? While mainstream archaeology dismisses such ideas, they continue to intrigue those who look beyond the traditional explanations. Could the H-blocks have been cut using a technology that has since been lost to history, perhaps due to the eventual collapse of the Tiahuanaco civilization? Adding to the mystery is the fact that the precision of the blocks is not limited to their shape. The H-blocks, unlike other structures found in Tiahuanaco, are standardized to a remarkable degree. Each block is nearly identical in size and shape, suggesting that the builders followed a strict system of measurements or templates. This standardization of stone blocks, uncommon in many ancient cultures, points to a highly organized society with advanced knowledge of construction techniques. But how did such a society emerge in the remote highlands of Bolivia, at a time when most of the world was still in the early stages of stone tool use? Some alternative theories suggest that the standardization and precision of the H-blocks could point to an even more ancient origin for Tiahuanaco. Some have proposed that the city and its advanced stonework may have been built by a forgotten civilization, one that predated the known cultures of the Andean region. These theorists argue that the site could have been the work of an even older, perhaps even extraterrestrial culture with knowledge far beyond the capabilities of the ancient Tiahuanaco people. While such ideas remain speculative and unsupported by evidence, they highlight the strange and unexplained nature of the H-blocks. In addition to their precision, the H-blocks exhibit another baffling feature: the way in which they fit together. The blocks are so perfectly aligned that the joints between them are nearly invisible to the naked eye. The manner in which the blocks interlock, particularly those that form the walls of the temple complex, suggests an extraordinary understanding of geometry and engineering. There is no mortar or visible binding material between the stones, and yet the blocks remain tightly bound together, some even surviving earthquakes that have ravaged the region over the centuries. Could the builders have used a form of ancient adhesive or bonding agent that has since been lost? Or was there some other force, perhaps magnetic or even vibrational, at play? The fact that many of these H-blocks are so precisely cut and carefully placed has also led some to question the timeline of Tiahuanaco's construction. Conventional archaeology dates the construction of the site to around 300 BC, but the level of sophistication demonstrated in the H-blocks seems to suggest a much older origin. Could the builders of Tiahuanaco have inherited knowledge from an earlier civilization, one that possessed advanced engineering techniques? Or could Tiahuanaco itself be the product of a long-lost civilization that was far more advanced than we have traditionally assumed? If this is the case, then what happened to that civilization? And why did its knowledge and skills seem to vanish without a trace? Theories of a lost civilization are not new to the Andean region. Other ancient sites, such as the Nazca Lines and the enigmatic structures at Ollantaytambo, have also sparked similar questions about the capabilities of ancient Andean peoples. Some theorists argue that these structures and technologies are the remnants of a forgotten civilization that had a deep understanding of the natural world, including advanced techniques in engineering, astronomy, and hydraulics. Could the H-blocks of Tiahuanaco be another piece of this larger puzzle, pointing to a civilization that existed long before the Inca and whose legacy has been obscured by time? The standardization and precision of the H-blocks remain an enduring mystery that challenges our understanding of ancient engineering and craftsmanship. Whether the blocks were the work of the Tiahuanaco civilization or an earlier, more advanced culture, one thing is certain: the skills involved in shaping and positioning these massive stones were extraordinary. The secrets of the H-blocks may never be fully revealed, but the questions they raise remain open, inviting us to consider the possibilities. What were the true capabilities of the builders of Tiahuanaco? Were they simply masterful stonemasons, or did they possess knowledge and technology that we have yet to uncover? As we stand before the towering H-blocks, their sharp, precise angles and nearly invisible seams, we are left to wonder, what secrets lie hidden beneath the surface of Tiahuanaco? Could the answer to this ancient mystery still be waiting to be discovered? Or have we already overlooked the key to unlocking the true purpose and origins of these remarkable stones? As we leave behind the enigmatic stones of Tiahuanaco, we find ourselves on the arid plains of the Ica Desert, located on the southwestern coast of Peru. Beneath the scorching sun, this vast expanse of dry earth stretches out endlessly, broken only by the occasional rocky outcrop or the shifting wind. It is here, in this unforgiving environment, that an even greater mystery lies hidden, one that challenges our understanding of ancient civilization and human ingenuity. Scattered across the desert are the Ica Desert Spiral Geoglyphs, a series of vast, spiral-shaped markings etched into the desert floor. These intricate patterns, some of which span hundreds of meters, are not only a testament to the region's ancient history, but also a puzzling enigma that has yet to be fully explained. What do these spirals mean? And who or what created them? The geoglyphs themselves are awe-inspiring in their scale and precision. Each spiral, meticulously carved into the desert's surface, appears to be perfectly balanced, with each curve and line following a specific, calculated path. The spirals range in size, with some reaching diameters of up to 100 meters, creating a striking visual pattern when viewed from above. The sheer complexity and precision of these formations suggest a deep understanding of geometry, but the lack of historical records or archaeological evidence linking them to any known civilization raises more questions than it answers. How did the creators of these spirals achieve such precise measurements? Were they using tools and techniques lost to time? And perhaps most pressing of all, why were they created in the first place? Mainstream archaeology has long struggled to provide a satisfactory explanation for the Ica Desert spiral geoglyphs. Some experts suggest that they were created by ancient cultures, possibly the Nazca civilization, who are better known for their elaborate geoglyphs that cover the desert of southern Peru. The Nazca lines, with their geometric shapes and depictions of animals, are well documented. But the Ica Desert spirals are a different kind of mystery altogether. Theories about their purpose vary widely. Some argue they were designed for religious or ceremonial purposes, while others suggest they were created to mark astronomical events or geographical features. Could these spirals have been used as a form of ancient navigation, guiding travelers across the vast desert? Or were they symbols of some long-lost belief system, whose meaning has been obscured by time? Yet, there are alternative theories that venture into more speculative territory, raising the possibility that the Ica Desert spirals may have been created by a much older, perhaps even pre-Nazca civilization. Could these geoglyphs be remnants of a forgotten people with advanced knowledge of astronomy and geometry? Some researchers believe that the precision of the spirals could indicate a level of mathematical sophistication far beyond what we associate with the ancient cultures of the Andes. If this is true, then we must ask, what happened to the civilization that created them? Did they simply vanish, leaving behind only these cryptic markings to be rediscovered millennia later? Even more intriguing are the strange, sometimes controversial claims made by those who assert that the Ica Desert spirals may not have been created by humans at all. Some fringe theorists speculate that these geoglyphs could be the work of extraterrestrial visitors, suggesting that the spirals are a form of ancient communication or a map designed to guide alien spacecraft. While there is no evidence to support such claims, the unusual, almost otherworldly nature of the spirals has fueled these ideas. Could the creators of these geoglyphs have been inspired by knowledge passed down by visitors from the stars? Or could the spirals themselves serve as a sort of cosmic marker, pointing to some hidden knowledge or purpose beyond the realm of human understanding? Another possibility that has been put forward is the idea that the spirals were created as part of a large-scale ritual or ceremonial complex. The Ica Desert, while desolate now, may have once been a sacred landscape used by ancient peoples for elaborate religious ceremonies. The spirals, in this case, might have had a deep spiritual significance, acting as symbols of rebirth, eternity, or the cyclical nature of life itself. The spiral, as a symbol, appears in many ancient cultures around the world, often associated with the cycles of the sun, moon, and stars. Could the spirals of the Ica Desert have been designed to mark the passage of time or to honor celestial bodies that were central to the beliefs of the people who lived here long ago? The purpose of the Ica Desert spirals may never be fully understood. Despite the numerous theories that have been put forward, there is little in the way of concrete evidence to support any one explanation. The lack of historical context and written records makes it difficult to determine the true meaning behind these ancient markings. Archaeologists and researchers continue to speculate, but without clear answers, the mystery remains unsolved. One of the most perplexing aspects of the Ica Desert spiral geoglyphs is their age. Carbon dating of nearby artifacts has suggested that the spirals could be as old as 2,000 to 3,000 years, predating the known civilizations of the region. If this is the case, it raises further questions about the technological and cultural capabilities of the people who created them. Did the builders of these spirals possess a knowledge of mathematics and geometry that was far ahead of its time? Or were they working with a different set of tools and techniques, ones that have since been lost to history? What knowledge or beliefs drove them to create these massive, precise formations? And why did they choose the desolate, barren Ica Desert as their canvas? In addition to their scale and precision, The spirals of the Ica Desert are also notable for their unusual, almost haunting beauty. When viewed from the ground, the spirals appear as strange, sweeping curves that seem to stretch on forever, their geometry both simple and yet oddly complex. But it is only when seen from the air, as the ancient creators intended, that the full extent of their design becomes clear. From above, the spirals reveal themselves as part of a larger, interconnected network of lines and shapes, forming a vast, intricate pattern that is impossible to fully comprehend without the perspective of flight. This aerial view, which was only recently made possible through modern technology, has led some to suggest that the spirals were created with the intention of being seen from the heavens. Could they have been designed as messages to the gods, or perhaps as symbols to communicate with a higher power? What is most compelling about the Ica Desert spirals is the sense that we are still only scratching the surface of their mystery. Every new theory, every new discovery adds another layer to the puzzle, but the full meaning behind the spirals remains just out of reach. As we look down at the spirals from the safety of our modern world, we are reminded that ancient civilizations were capable of feats of creativity and engineering that we may never fully understand. The mysteries of the past often refuse to be neatly tied up or explained, and the Ica Desert spirals are a perfect example of this. Their true purpose may remain hidden, their meaning lost to the sands of time, but that doesn't stop us from continuing to ask, what could these spirals tell us if we could only decipher their message? The Ica Desert spiral geoglyphs, like so many other ancient mysteries, are a reminder that there is still much about our past that we have yet to discover. As we stand before these vast, haunting patterns etched into the desert, we must ask ourselves, could there be more to the story of the spirals than we've realized? What other secrets might lie beneath the desert's dry surface, waiting to be uncovered? And what mysteries, hidden for millennia, remain just out of reach, waiting for the right moment to reveal their truths? As we leave behind the winding spirals of the Ica Desert, we now find ourselves traveling northward to the heart of Europe, to a quiet corner of Germany's Brandenburg region, where the Göcek Circle lies nestled beneath the open sky. The Göcek Circle is one of the oldest known prehistoric structures in Europe, a henge, an ancient circular earthwork, believed to have been constructed around 4,900 BC. As the sun sets over the horizon, the site takes on an ethereal quality. The ancient monument consists of a circular ditch with 2 concentric wooden palisade rings and 4 massive wooden gates aligned precisely with the sun's movements. Its purpose has long been speculated, but it is perhaps most famous for its astonishing astronomical alignment, a feature that continues to fascinate and baffle researchers to this day. At first glance, the Göcek Circle appears to be little more than an arrangement of simple earthworks and wooden posts. Yet, as with many ancient structures, there is far more beneath the surface. The geometry of the site is unmistakably purposeful, with each of the gates placed at exact angles in relation to the rising and setting of the sun, particularly during the winter solstice. The alignment of the structure with the sun's path indicates that the builders of the Göcek Circle possessed an advanced understanding of astronomy, but there is an element to this alignment that remains strangely elusive: the gradual drift in the position of the astronomical alignments, suggesting a puzzling shift over time. The drift refers to the fact that the Göcek Circle, originally built with precise alignment to the sun during key solar events, appears to have experienced a slow, imperceptible shift in its orientation over the millennia. While the site's purpose is generally understood to be one of astronomical observation, allowing the ancient builders to track the solar cycles and mark important dates like solstices, the drift raises important questions. What could have caused the site to slowly shift its alignment? And what does this drift say about the people who built it? Could the movement of the stones and posts be an intentional part of the site's design, or does it suggest that the structure was altered over time by successive generations? The mainstream theory holds that the Göbekli Circle was a place of ritual, possibly used for religious ceremonies tied to the sun and the changing seasons. Archaeological evidence indicates that the site may have been used to mark important agricultural milestones, such as the time for sowing and harvesting crops. The solar alignments would have been crucial for the agricultural society that built the circle, allowing them to track the changing seasons with precision. However, the slow shift in alignment has led some researchers to question whether the site's function might have been more complex than simply marking time. One possibility is that the drift could be attributed to natural processes, such as the movement of the Earth over centuries, which would have caused slight changes in the angle of the structure's alignment. Yet, even this explanation raises questions. If the site was so carefully constructed and aligned with celestial events, why would such a precise alignment gradually change over time? Could this be evidence of a deeper, more deliberate manipulation of the structure, perhaps suggesting a level of knowledge and intention that went beyond the simple observation of the stars? Some researchers have suggested that the drift could indicate that the Göbekli Circle was part of a larger dynamic system of astronomical observation. Perhaps the site was not meant to be static, but rather, it could have been designed to accommodate the changing positions of the sun over centuries. Could the shifting alignments have been intentional, a means of tracking longer cycles of time that were understood by the builders of the circle? This theory is supported by the idea that ancient cultures often had a more fluid understanding of the cosmos, one that embraced cycles and movements not easily understood through a modern, static lens. The shift in the alignments could, in this context, be seen as part of a long-term cosmic ritual, or a spiritual expression of the changing nature of time itself. Alternatively, the drift might suggest that the Göbekli Circle was not the only structure of its kind, and that similar sites across Europe once held an interconnected, dynamic relationship to one another. Could the alignment drift be the result of a complex system of solar observatories, built by an ancient culture with advanced knowledge of the heavens? Perhaps the Göbekli Circle was just one of many such sites, each with its own unique orientation that reflected its specific role in this greater astronomical network. If this is true, it would indicate that these early peoples had a profound understanding of celestial mechanics and could track time with a precision that we are still only beginning to comprehend. As intriguing as these theories are, there are also those who look at the drift from a more speculative angle. Some fringe theorists have suggested that the cause of the drift may not be due to human action at all. Could the shift in alignment be evidence of something far more mysterious, perhaps even something extraterrestrial? While this theory remains highly controversial, it speaks to the profound mystery surrounding the site and the ongoing fascination with the unknown. Could the Göbekli Circle and other ancient astronomical sites be part of a lost system of knowledge, one passed down through generations, or could there be a connection to advanced civilizations that we have yet to uncover? Some suggest that the extraordinary precision of the alignment might indicate knowledge far beyond what we might expect from the early Bronze Age. Moreover, the exact purpose of the Göbekli Circle remains unclear. It has been suggested that it might have had a dual function, serving both as a place of astronomical observation and as a ceremonial or ritual space. The elaborate nature of its construction points to a deep connection between the builders and the cosmos, suggesting that they may have seen the movement of the sun and stars as something sacred, intertwined with the cycles of life and death. If the alignment of the structure changed over time, as the drift suggests, might this reflect a shifting belief system or changing religious practices? Could the gradual shift in alignment be symbolic of a transition from one era to another, with the sun itself playing a role in marking these changes? The Göbekli Circle, with its intricate design and mysterious alignment drift, raises more questions than it answers. Was the drift an intentional part of the design, or was it a result of the natural forces of time and the Earth? And if the alignment was meant to track solar cycles, what did it mean for the people who built it to witness such a gradual change over centuries? Did they view the shifting of the circle as a sign of some cosmic event, or perhaps as an omen? Were the changes in alignment seen as a divine message, an indication that the balance of time and the seasons was shifting? What makes the Göbekli circle so compelling is that it continues to resist easy explanations. We can trace the movements of the sun through the ancient posts and gates, but we cannot yet fully grasp the deeper meaning behind the gradual drift of the alignments. Perhaps the most profound mystery of all lies in the question: why did the people of Göbekli build such an elaborate and precise structure in the first place? Was it merely a tool for agricultural planning, or did it represent something far greater, an understanding of the universe and the forces that govern it, something that we, too, are still trying to comprehend? The Göbekli Circle stands as a monument to the ingenuity of ancient peoples, but it also stands as a reminder that even our most advanced methods of observation and interpretation cannot always unlock the full story of the past. As we stand before its ancient earthworks, we are left to wonder, what did the builders of Göbekli truly know about the heavens? And what knowledge, if any, was lost with the passing of time, hidden beneath the surface, waiting for us to uncover it once again? Leaving behind the mysteries of ancient astronomical sites, we now travel to an island off the coast of Italy, Sardinia. This rugged land, known for its dense forests, rocky hills, and ancient coastal cliffs, is home to one of the most captivating and puzzling archaeological discoveries of the ancient world, the Monte Prama giants. These colossal stone statues, fragments of which were discovered in the early 1970s, offer an enigmatic window into a culture that has long remained obscure in the annals of history. Towering and imposing, these figures seem to step right out of myth, casting long shadows across the island's past, and they raise questions that have yet to be definitively answered. The giants of Monte Prama are scattered across the Sardinian landscape in the form of carved statues, human-like figures, some of them reaching up to 2.5 meters tall. They are believed to represent warriors or deities, and are often depicted with exaggerated features: oversized heads, prominent facial expressions, and muscular bodies, suggesting a level of reverence for these figures that hints at both their cultural and spiritual significance. These statues were part of a larger necropolis, with dozens of fragments of them emerging from the earth around the site of Monte Prama in central Sardinia. The sheer size and number of the statues point to an advanced civilization, one that would have required immense resources, sophisticated craftsmanship, and a highly organized society to produce. Yet, as impressive as they are, the Monte Prama giants have become more than just monumental sculptures. They have become a key to unlocking the island's deep past, and the puzzle of their creation and purpose is far from solved. When these statues were first discovered, archaeologists were perplexed by their highly distinctive style. The figures seemed to stand apart from anything else in ancient Mediterranean art, showing little resemblance to the classical styles of the Greeks or Romans. And though their exact origins are still debated, one thing is clear: these giants were not created by the same civilizations that surrounded them in the ancient world. So, who were the builders of Monte Prama, and what were they trying to convey with these monumental figures? The statue's fragmentation further complicates the story. The site at Monte Prama is now a disjointed mosaic of pieces: legs, heads, torsos, and arms, scattered across the ground, many of which were broken and scattered when the statues were buried or destroyed centuries ago. The fragmentation is peculiar. Why were these statues broken into pieces in such a deliberate manner? Some pieces appear to have been intentionally shattered, while others show signs of erosion, likely due to centuries of exposure to the elements. The sheer scale of the destruction raises the question: was it an act of defacement, a form of symbolic destruction, or simply the result of time and neglect? Could the act of dismembering these statues have been part of some ritual, perhaps one that marked the end of an era, the fall of a civilization, or a deliberate attempt to erase a piece of history? Archaeologists have found that the giants of Monte Prama were part of a larger complex of tombs and sacred spaces, perhaps a burial site or a religious sanctuary for the people who once inhabited this part of Sardinia. But despite their obvious ritualistic and ceremonial significance, we still know very little about the people who created them. Known as the Nuragic civilization, the people of Sardinia left behind very few written records, making it difficult for historians to fully understand their culture or their motivations. What we do know is that they were a sophisticated society, with an advanced knowledge of metallurgy, agriculture, and architecture. They constructed towering stone structures known as nuragis, which were fortified towers and complexes scattered across the island, and they left behind a rich legacy of artwork, including the Monte Prama statues. One of the most perplexing features of these statues is the peculiar fragmentation pattern that some scholars have noted in their dismembered forms. A number of the statues, in particular the warrior figures, exhibit unusual patterns of damage, with some of their heads and limbs having been intentionally detached. This fragmentation seems too systematic to be mere happenstance, suggesting that the destruction was deliberate. Was it a ritualistic act? Was the destruction of these figures part of some larger cultural or religious practice? In some cultures, breaking or damaging statues of gods or ancestors was a means of honoring them or releasing their power. Could this be the case with the Monte Prama statues? Were these figures dismembered and scattered as a way of giving them new life? Or was it a means of marking a cultural shift, an end to an era, or the decline of the society that once revered them? As we move away from the purely physical aspects of the statues, the question of their purpose becomes even more intriguing. Many scholars suggest that these giant figures may have been connected to a form of ancestor worship, symbolizing deities or important figures within the community. Some of the statues appear to be warriors, standing in defensive postures with shields or weapons in their hands, while others seem more ceremonial in nature. Were these figures intended to represent protectors of the community, immortalized in stone to defend the living from unseen forces? Were they representations of gods, personifications of the elements, or mythical beings that held sway over the lives of the people who made them? What role did these figures play in the daily lives of the Nuragic people? The mystery deepens when we consider the advanced techniques required to produce such monumental statues. While these giants were undoubtedly carved by skilled craftsmen, there is little evidence to suggest that the people of Sardinia possessed the same level of artistic tradition or resources as the neighboring Mediterranean civilizations. How, then, were they able to create such large and precise sculptures? Some have suggested that the techniques used to carve the Monte Prama statues were passed down through generations, evolving from simpler forms of rock carving. Others have speculated that the builders may have had access to tools or techniques that were far ahead of their time, possibly even lost to history. Some fringe theories even propose that the knowledge to create such advanced sculptures may have come from outside sources, such as contact with advanced civilizations from the east or beyond the Mediterranean. Could the giants have been created by a people with far more extensive trade networks, or even influence from other ancient cultures? Another compelling theory is that the Monte Prama statues may have been connected to astronomical observations. The alignment of the statues, along with their prominent positioning in the landscape, has led some researchers to propose that these figures may have been part of a larger astronomical system, perhaps marking key solstices or lunar events. The strategic placement of the statues, combined with their fragmentation, could indicate that these figures were once part of a greater cosmic design, one that we have yet to fully understand. Did these statues serve a purpose that went beyond the earthly realm, possibly linking the earthly and celestial domains? Could they have been built to honor the movement of the stars or the sun? As we continue to delve into the mystery of the Sardinian giants, we are confronted with the harsh reality that much of their story has been lost to the passage of time. Their creators, the Neragic people, left behind no written records, and the statues themselves, fragmented and damaged, provide only tantalizing glimpses of their cultural and religious significance. Despite decades of archaeological study, the true purpose of the Mont'e giants remains one of Sardinia's greatest unsolved mysteries. And so, we are left to ponder. What were the builders of the Mont'e giants trying to convey? Was their creation an expression of divine worship, a declaration of power, or a form of artistic expression? Why did they choose to fragment the statues in such a deliberate and mysterious way? And what can these ancient figures, fragmented yet defiant, teach us about the people who once stood on the land of Sardinia? The giants of Mont'e, with their monumental scale and intricate design, continue to stand as a powerful reminder of the mysteries that lie hidden beneath the surface of our past. They challenge us to reconsider the limits of human achievement and understanding, and they invite us to continue searching for answers that, perhaps, we are not yet ready to find. What secrets still lie buried in the dust of Sardinia, waiting for the right moment to be revealed? As we journey deeper into the enigmatic world of ancient mysteries, we find ourselves in the scorching deserts of southern Egypt, where one of the oldest and most mysterious astronomical sites in the world lies. This is the vast, barren landscape of Nabta Playa, a place where the scorching sun beats relentlessly on the earth. Yet beneath its arid surface lies a treasure trove of ancient artifacts that suggest early human ingenuity in ways we are still trying to fully comprehend. At first glance, Nabta Playa may seem like little more than a vast plain with scattered stones, lost and forgotten to time. But a closer examination reveals something far more remarkable. A set of megalithic structures that are believed to predate Stonehenge by at least 1,000 years. In fact, some researchers argue that the Nabta Playa complex, with its stone circles, alignments, and mysterious structures, might have been one of the earliest attempts at creating a celestial calendar, a primitive observatory of sorts, offering a glimpse into the lives and knowledge of the people who lived here over 5,000 years ago. But there is one object in particular that has intrigued scholars, historians, and archaeologists alike: the Nabta Playa calendar stone, a large and intricately carved stone slab that seems to hold secrets of ancient timekeeping. In a location already steeped in mystery, this stone stands out as a marker of early human understanding of the heavens, marking a time when astronomical knowledge was no longer confined to observation, but rather incorporated into the design of their monuments. The calendar stone was originally discovered in the 1990s and is believed to be a sophisticated tool used by the ancient people of the area to track the movements of celestial bodies. The stone itself is marked with a series of depressions, grooves, and carved figures which align with certain astronomical events, such as solstices and lunar cycles. Some of the patterns seem to mirror the alignment of the stars, particularly those of the Orion constellation, whose association with ancient Egyptian and African mythologies is well documented. However, the mystery surrounding the Nabta Playa calendar stone goes beyond its function as a mere celestial calendar. As with many ancient artifacts, questions abound about its origins, its creators, and, in particular, its repositioning. While the stone was originally found in one location, it seems that at some point in its history it was moved, a movement that remains shrouded in uncertainty. What could explain such a deliberate act of relocation? Was the stone's position originally chosen for its alignment with specific astronomical events? And if so, why would the creators choose to move it? Was it moved to a different location for ritualistic purposes? Or perhaps it was part of a larger system that had changed, requiring the stone's repositioning to maintain its function? Such questions stir a sense of intrigue that has yet to be fully addressed by scholars. It's clear that the ancient people of Nabta Playa had a deep understanding of the night sky. The stone circles, the alignments of large stones, and the calendar stone itself all suggest that the site functioned as more than just a place of habitation. It was perhaps an early observatory or a sacred space where people came to track the passage of time, the changing seasons, and the movements of the stars. The calendar stone, with its carvings and precise markers, would have been a key component in understanding when to plant crops, when to harvest, and even when to perform sacred rituals. Yet, as the stone was unearthed and studied, researchers discovered something that deepens the mystery of the site: the repositioning of the calendar stone. Originally, the stone seemed to be part of a larger arrangement of stones within the landscape. However, later investigations revealed that the stone had been moved to a new position, one that was not aligned with the original astronomical markers. This was not the result of natural forces like erosion or displacement by animals or weather. No, this repositioning appeared deliberate. Was it the result of an ancient ritual? Perhaps one that called for the realignment of sacred objects in accordance with shifting cosmic cycles? The idea that the stone's movement had a religious or ceremonial purpose cannot be ruled out. Perhaps the people of Nabta Playa were in the midst of some cultural or spiritual transformation, and the stone was relocated to reflect this change. Was it the result of a shift in their understanding of the heavens, or perhaps the arrival of new religious practices or beliefs that required a modification of their old ways? Alternatively, could it have been that the repositioning was due to the collapse or abandonment of the original site? Was the structure at Nabta Playa originally far more extensive, but with time, and with it the decline of the society that built it, the calendar stone was moved to a new, more accessible location? If the stone had been relocated for practical reasons, what would that tell us about the social and political structures of the time? Could it reflect a society that was already in transition, perhaps losing touch with its former practices or dealing with internal shifts? The mere existence of the Nabta Playa calendar stone speaks volumes about the level of astronomical knowledge that existed long before the rise of Egyptian civilization or the sophisticated observatories of the ancient world. The stone itself provides concrete evidence that the people of this region were paying close attention to the stars, an effort that required not only observational skill, but also the ability to record and predict celestial phenomena. At the same time, however, the relocation of the calendar stone raises questions about how much of this ancient knowledge was passed down through generations, or whether the people of Nabta Playa were part of a more isolated society, one with limited interaction with other cultures that might have shared similar astronomical practices. If the repositioning of the stone was part of a larger trend of adaptation or reinvention, it suggests that the ancient people of Nabta Playa were not static in their understanding of the world around them. Instead, they were willing to make alterations and modifications to their established practices in order to keep up with changes in their environment, their society, or perhaps even in their understanding of the cosmos itself. Could this deliberate act of repositioning hint at a much larger story, one of cultural upheaval, intellectual evolution, or even the fall of a civilization? If so, the story of the Nabta Playa calendar stone becomes far more than just one of astronomical curiosity. It becomes a tale of human resilience and adaptability, a reminder that even in the face of uncertainty, ancient peoples were willing to engage with their world and the cosmos in ways we are only beginning to understand. The true purpose behind the stone's relocation remains a matter of intense debate. While many scholars suggest that the repositioning could have been an act of necessity or practicality, Others believe that it was part of a larger symbolic gesture. Could the movement of the stone be tied to a significant shift in the people's religious or cultural practices? Perhaps it was part of a new cosmic ritual, aligned with changing star patterns or solar events. Others propose that the people of Nabta Playa may have been marking the beginning of a new era, and the stone's repositioning symbolized this transition, either to a new celestial understanding or to a new cultural phase. Was the movement of the stone tied to a shift in power or a new leader who sought to mark their rule with such an event? For others, the stone's repositioning is less about symbolic or religious significance and more about practical necessity. Could the structure at Nabta Playa have suffered some sort of collapse or damage, requiring the stone to be moved to a more secure location? Or was the stone repositioned as part of a larger system of realignments, perhaps in response to a growing community or a shift in the agricultural needs of the people? As the dust of time continues to settle on the ancient plains of Nabta Playa, we are left with more questions than answers. The calendar stone, with its intricate carvings and celestial alignments, continues to stand as a testament to the sophisticated knowledge of its creators. But the mystery of its repositioning remains unsolved. Was it moved to mark a change in the celestial understanding of its builders? Or did it simply reflect the practical realities of a changing society? We may never know the full extent of the reasons behind the relocation of the Nabta Playa calendar stone, but it is clear that this act of movement carries a message, one that challenges us to reconsider our understanding of ancient cultures and their relationship with the cosmos. In the silence of the desert, the stone waits patiently, offering up its secrets slowly, just as the stars that it once tracked move endlessly across the sky. What remains hidden beneath the shifting sands of time? Only the future may tell. Amidst the sweeping plains and rugged hills of Victoria, Australia, there lies an ancient stone arrangement that has puzzled scholars, archaeologists, and indigenous custodians alike for over a century. The Wurdi Yuang stone arrangement, often overshadowed by the grandeur of Stonehenge or the more widely known indigenous sites of the continent, presents an intriguing puzzle of its own, a puzzle that connects the ancient people of Australia to the cosmos in a way that even modern science struggles to fully comprehend. As the sun rises over the land, its rays spill across the low stone circles, casting long shadows across the earth. This is the site known as Wurdi Yuang, a sacred place, rich in both indigenous culture and an air of mystery. The arrangement consists of an elliptical circle of large standing stones, which appear ordinary at first glance. The rocks, weathered by time and elements, are scattered across the landscape with what seems like haphazard randomness. However, as the light shifts throughout the day, the true nature of this formation begins to reveal itself, suggesting a purpose far beyond simple decoration or aesthetic value. The arrangement is not just a cluster of stones, but rather an intricate astronomical calendar, an early testament to the deep connection between the people of this land and the celestial movements that govern their lives. The rocks at Wurdi Yuang seem to align perfectly with the solar cycle. As the seasons change, the shadows cast by the stones point in various directions, marking the passage of time and signaling key moments in the solar year. The precision of these alignments raises an important question. How could such a remote, isolated community possess the knowledge and skill to create such an accurate solar calendar? The arrangement's most notable feature is its alignment with the solar solstices, the longest and shortest days of the year. As the sun rises and sets on the solstices, its rays pass through specific gaps between the stones, casting shadows that follow a pattern. These markers are not accidental. They are deliberate, carefully placed to reflect the movements of the sun with remarkable accuracy. This knowledge of the sun's path across the sky, essential for agricultural and ceremonial purposes, must have been passed down through generations. Yet, despite its significance, the exact purpose of the Wurdi Yuang stone arrangement remains shrouded in mystery. Indigenous traditions suggest that the site was used by the Wathaurong people for ceremonial purposes, perhaps as a means of marking time, aligning with spiritual practices tied to the earth and sky. The Wurdi Yuang stones could have been used to track the passing of the seasons, determine the best times for fishing, hunting, or gathering, or perhaps even for spiritual rituals tied to the cycles of life. The more we learn about Aboriginal culture, the more we realize just how deeply ingrained astronomical knowledge was in their worldview. For them, the sun, moon, and stars weren't just markers of time, they were integral to their stories, beliefs, and their very existence. While indigenous wisdom offers one interpretation, modern scientific analyses suggest something equally extraordinary. The accuracy with which the stones align with the solar solstices hints at a sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics. But how did these early peoples achieve such precision? There are no written records or clear documentation to tell us how the Wurdi Yuang site came into being. Theories abound, but the absence of hard evidence leaves room for speculation. One possible explanation is that the site's builders employed a knowledge system passed down through generations, a way of observing the natural world with acute attention to celestial patterns. Indigenous people are known for their profound connection to the environment, using natural landmarks and stars as guides for navigation and the sun as a crucial marker in daily life. Wurdi Yuang may have been a focal point for these observations, where the stones functioned as markers to remind the community when to carry out vital tasks and rituals. The precision of the alignment suggests that this knowledge could have been part of an ancient system of celestial observation that spanned thousands of years. Interestingly, the Wurdi Yuang arrangement has a distinctive pattern that sets it apart from other similar sites. The stones form an ellipse, with the longest axis oriented in a northwest-southeast direction, while smaller stones are placed in smaller concentric circles inside the ellipse. This arrangement suggests not only solar alignment, but also a sophisticated understanding of geometry. The large stones at the perimeter are also placed at precise intervals, their positions marking certain solar events, such as the solstices and equinoxes, when the sun is at its furthest or closest point relative to the Earth. The arrangement's geometry and alignment provide a window into the way the Wathaurong people may have interpreted and understood the cosmos, a perfect blend of science and spirituality. Still, despite this sophisticated understanding of the stars, the origins of the stone arrangement remain unclear. How could a society with no written records and no advanced technology create such a structure with such precision? Some believe that the site may have been constructed over several generations, with each generation refining and adapting the arrangement to reflect new astronomical knowledge. Other theories suggest that the site may have been the result of an even older tradition, one whose origins have been lost to time. Yet, there are even more questions that linger unanswered. If the Wurdi Yuang site was used to mark the solstices and equinoxes, could it also have served a broader function, perhaps a role in a larger network of astronomical sites that spanned Australia? The more one looks at these sites, the more one wonders whether a sophisticated and widespread system of stone circles and alignments once existed across the continent. Were these arrangements connected in some way, forming an ancient network of sacred sites and timekeeping devices? Interestingly, there are no clear answers, only hypotheses. Some propose that the stones may have been part of a much larger system, possibly related to the lost knowledge of an ancient, once great civilization. This theory, though speculative, has its allure, suggesting that Australia, too, may have been home to ancient societies whose knowledge of the stars far surpassed what we understand about their cultures today. If we entertain this notion, it raises further questions. Who were the people who built these structures, and how did they come to possess such advanced knowledge? Was their knowledge the result of thousands of years of careful observation, passed down through an oral tradition, or did they inherit it from some unknown source, perhaps an earlier civilization that has been erased from history? Was the Wurdi Yuang site part of a greater cultural network that spanned the ancient world? Beyond the speculation, what remains clear is that the Wurdi Yuang stone arrangement is far more than a mere curiosity. It's a powerful symbol of the sophisticated ways in which ancient people engaged with their environment. The precision with which these stones align with solar events hints at an intimate, almost reverential relationship with the cosmos. It's a relationship that goes beyond mere practicality and enters the realm of the spiritual, where the movements of the stars and the earth were intertwined with the rhythms of life itself. The Wurdi Yuang arrangement, though it stands silently in the Australian landscape, speaks volumes about the ancient people who built it. With each passing year, as the sun rises and sets, as the shadows cast by the stones shift and change, the site continues to hold its secrets. The fact that so much of this ancient knowledge remains hidden beneath the surface suggests that there is much we still do not understand. What else, one wonders, remains to be uncovered? What knowledge and wisdom have been lost to time, waiting to be rediscovered by future generations? Could there be more stone circles, hidden beneath the earth, just waiting to be found? Could the Wurdi Yuang arrangement itself be just one piece of a larger, more intricate puzzle that connects the past to the present, and perhaps even to the future? In the end, the mystery of Wurdi Yuang is not just a tale of ancient knowledge, but a reminder that there are still many secrets buried within the earth, waiting to be uncovered. And as we continue to explore these ancient sites, we are left with the unshakable feeling that, despite our best efforts, the true depth of ancient wisdom remains just beyond our grasp, obscured by the sands of time and the complexities of history. The stones may stand silently for now, but they have much yet to reveal. What mysteries still lie hidden beneath their weathered surfaces? Only time will tell.